All right.
Oh, dawn of the third day.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, for us, basically. We're not in our regular recording setup right now, so maybe we sound weird. I don't know. Do we?
No.
I don't think so.
We sound normal.
Hey, let's hat plus.
All right. After all that heavy stuff from yesterday, let's maybe take it a little slow before we get started.
Oh my god, yesterday was like a week ago for us. We're bad at this.
Given the stuff we did yesterday with boring, stuffy ritual food, I was thinking, maybe today we could do something more fun.
Oh?
You know what I'm thinking?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Cake! Cake! Before we go back to investigating, let's spend some relaxing time eating cake together, Miss Investigator. The thing is, I don't really remember what it tastes like either. Which is really sad, actually. It used to be my favorite thing to eat.
Aww.
In fact, the day before I was frozen, the last day I got to spend with my real family, my mother made chocolate cake for me.
Aww.
It was so good. The best in the world. That's my last memory of my original time, eating homemade chocolate cake with my mother. But I can't remember what it tastes like at all. Isn't that awful?
Aww.
Don't worry though, I've got a plan.
Okay, what's the plan?
We can just get you to bake one, and I can experience it vicariously through you.
Oh. What?
How does that sound? You'll do it for me, right? You'll actually go to your kitchen and bake a cake so we can eat together? We're gonna. It's mandatory cake time. So you'll do it then. Thank you so much. Right. Well, there's two recipes I can give you. One's my mother's recipe. The other's one that's so simple any otaku could do it in a microwave. Or maybe you already have your own chocolate cake recipe. Well, let me go into more detail, then you can tell me which you'll do.
In case you're wondering. Yes, we are actually making a legit cake. This is happening. Oh, mug cake.
We have the appropriate ingredients
We
for a
do.
cake. I ensured this. I went shopping. Wow.
Ouch!
Okay.
Listen.
But I planned in advance. I
just-
have them.
Okay, like, I understand, but we went shopping.
It's
We went shopping.
mix, oil.
Please actually get it from the computer. Are you looking in the kitchen, honey?
I am looking in the kitchen. I'm double checking. We've got eggs.
Okay.
We've got oil. We've got all the various things.
No. Okay, specifically in this order, okay?
Okay.
Flour,
Okay, yes.
milk,
Yes.
sugar.
Probably.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to our computer girlfriend, okay? Do we have milk and sugar?
We don't, but the recipe I have doesn't call for that. I'm so confused.
How about eggs?
We do.
Butter?
We do.
Vanilla?
I hope so.
Wow, we're being a dick to our computer girlfriend, honey.
No, I just want to bake. I have
We
the
the-
recipe already. It has different
Vivian legit
ingredients.
went shopping right before we recorded this and has stuff to make, what is it, a brownie cake?
Yeah, because I trust my ability to make a dense chocolatey brownie type cake more than my ability to make a fluffy birthday type cake.
So we're gonna lie about the ingredients.
No, well,
Yes. We won't tell her we're making a brownie cake. We'll be using our...
own recipe.
I like how she doesn't change her judgment between each of them. Wow, there's a
That's the right
Oof.
reaction though.
oof, lot of
No, that's fine.
A lot of belief coming our way here. Thanks for believing in us.
That is precisely how much trust I should be given in baking. I know fuck all about baking. I can cook other things, but
Oh my gosh.
we'll see what happens. How long does your recipe take?
60 minutes or more. I don't know. How long does the recipe actually take?
Let's double check.
I mean, we're going to be gone from the computer for longer than that because we're smart about our recording schedule.
At least half an hour to an hour. So I'd say 40 or so.
All right.
Very well. I'll wait for you. Just click the button when you're done.
All right. And now we're going to go bake a frickin' cake. And by we, I mean you're going to bake a cake and I'm going to go to the doctor's office for an appointment.
That's precisely what'll happen.
Because, we've finally decided it's time to get this achievement.
Yes.
How many times have you played it? This
A
game?
couple. A lot. All of them except for this.
I find it hard to believe she's going to hold that pose for several hours. Is she going to call us out on it when we get back? Be like, that was significantly longer than 40 minutes.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Oh no. Alright, well, I'll see you all soon then. And we're back.
Did you know it's a piece of cake to bake a pretty cake?
Oh my god. Have you been waiting like the past couple hours to say that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Alright.
So
So I went off to the doctor's office and Vivian made a cake. Although,
this cake is not a lie.
it's not a lie.
Am I memeing right?
I think you are.
Okay.
It is very thin though.
Yeah, I may have accidentally used a baking pan that was at least twice as large as I should have for the quantity of batter. So it's kind of very,
Thin
very
cake.
flat. It's delicious and chocolatey, but flat.
All done.
Yes. We're done.
Yes, we're done, Hune.
Very well. Please be honest with me. Did you, the player, actually go bake a cake?
Of course. And
Of
we've got
course we
photographic proof.
Yay!
Which
That's so exciting!
And we're both gonna take photos of... Because there's an achievement for this.
Yep.
Did you know?
We did the thing. We made the cake.
It's a piece of cake to bake a... Oh, now you got me doing it. See? I'm gonna keep taking photos. Maybe I'll intersperse these in the... Cake! It doesn't look nearly that good.
I wish my cake was that pretty.
Ours almost looks like a brownie.
Yeah.
Aww!
Eating cake together with the woman I love.
Yeah! Take a bite, honey.
Okay. I'm gonna have some cake.
As you should.
If I can get it out of the pan.
Good luck and Godspeed.
I am having difficulties.
If you do, you should
in
take a
this.
picture of us together. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna rearrange some stuff for a second here to get a good photo. Get ready for the mic to sound weird. And... photo.
Nice.
Awesome. I'm gonna move it back to the side now so I can actually taste some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And move the mic back into place. Hopefully it sounds normal now. Let me try some of this.
I should probably have brought a slicing implement.
Nah, forks are fine. Ah. Om.
Chocolatey and delicious?
It is very delicious.
Good.
You're right, it does taste brownie-like though.
Yes.
But that's fine because it's very good. We got our cake in the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Shit, there's a particular frame we're supposed to do.
Damn
Oh,
it.
Hold on. Got it. That's too fucking adorable.
Yum.
Alright, we're gonna be eating now. This is now Two Queers Eat Cake. That is really in the consistency of a brownie, but it's cake, god damn it.
It's basically a brownie.
Let them
It's a
eat
brownie.
brioche.
What?
Instead of let them eat cake.
What is a brioche? What does that mean?
It's a type of bread. The phrase "let them eat cake" is in originality was referring to brioche.
What's a brioche?
It's a type of bread, pretty fancy and good.
Huh. What's it like?
Like a slightly larger and heavier croissant.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
Can I have one?
Now the only place I know around here to get them, I don't go to anymore because it's so far away.
Oh.
I love your cake, by the way. Thank you. Let's have another bite of your cake and then we should get on with this.
Okay.
This is the dumbest thing I think we've ever done for
False.
this channel. There.
Delicious baked goods are not dumb.
No, they are not. Alright. I'm gonna put that to the side for now, and if you hear us munching throughout the episode, then you'll know what we're doing. In the meantime, we have plot to get back to.
So, how does it taste?
It's moist.
Yeah,
It is very moist.
it is quite moist. Ah, that's perfect. How lovely. Is it sweet?
Your sweetness enough. Yes, it is very sweet.
Ah, right. I remember now. I loved things that were really sweet. They're the best.
Just like you.
Lovely.
Aww.
I remember now. I remember the taste of a cake that was nice and moist and so sweet. It's the best taste possible. Oh geez, that sounds a little bit dirty, doesn't it? Sorry.
Moist. It's my favorite word.
Anyway,
You ready?
thank you so much for humoring me. I know you put a lot of work into that, more than you usually would, so I really appreciate it. You're the best.
Aww. Yeah.
Did you hear we're the best?
High fives. Now, let's get this done.
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to? You don't want... can I do it once?
Yeah.
Cake farts. Alright, I'm done now.
It's thanks to you that I can remember one of my happiest memories.
About cake farts?
Yes. And this is so lovely. I'm sure I'll remember this moment forever too.
Oh, this is fucking adorable.
Thank you so much. I feel a lot better now.
Hell yeah!
One more thing.
Oh, back in it to win it.
So there's one thing before we get started. I realized that, you know how there were a lot of files that just looked like junk data? Well, I think they're actually just encrypted with the same key that Mute's last note was. As far as I can tell, it's a whole block of log files about Oh Yoon Ah. Anyway, I'm nervous to read them, but I just thought you should know.
Now, are we going to be able to read everything this time around?
I forget. I
See.
forget. Let's see.
Let's, oh, you know what? We're no longer celebrating. Let's get back to, investigating. Or more like investigating. Sorry.
Oh, nap time. Alright.
Alright.
How much power have we got?
43%. Okay. Let's see how many more we have to go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What?
Oh wait, no, it won't let us. No, that's all.
Yes, there's 1, 2.
What block were we in the middle of? No, we finished a block, right?
We were in the middle of 5, right?
Yeah, it appears we were in the middle of block 5, so let's finish off that. It's been a week, so I don't remember jack shit. That one. It appears to be the end of block 5.
So back we go to 6.
Or, oh yeah, because block 3 is Oyuna.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's do block 6, then we'll do block 3 last. Actually, you know what? I'm going to drop a save here just in case it does turn out that we can't get all of them in one go.
That's very smart.
Great new save file, damn it. Thank you. Just in case. Alright, we started block 6 now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The new council.
You are so going to have to remind me about half of the freaking intrigue that's going on.
Okay, I will. Exactly 1/2 of it.
Yeah, exactly 1/2. Brownie cake.
Wow, we have a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
I assume we have enough to read all the things. That is my guess.
I hope so, but knowing us, if we don't drop a safety save, we're just gonna get screwed.
Yeah. I have a feeling maybe I was supposed to grease the pan more or something.
No, that's fine.
This cake does not want to escape.
No, but, I mean, we have to work for it, which makes it better. All right, start at the top, right? Mm-hmm. Gotta get my reading voice back. Oh god, I forget how, Pyonne Moon? Hold on, do you have the
I do.
It has been a week, so all that careful work I did to make sure I remembered how to pronounce Korean names correctly is now down the drain. Who is this person? Oh, the cook person.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember him. They were arranged marriage that worked out surprisingly well.
Yep.
Uh-oh, did we lose it? Whatever, I'll start reading while you look that up.
Wait. I found it.
Oh, okay. So that's EO is like a U, like in cut. So Pyonne Moon. Yeah, Pyonne Moon. Okay, there we go. Dear brother, how are you? Keeping busy, I hope? You said I could always write you for advice, no matter how weird it was, so... Well, I'm calling you on that. It's about my wife. Remember her?
Yep.
Very anxious.
Very science.
And, got sexually assaulted that one time.
Yep.
Yep. I don't know what the hell is up with her, and well, you've met her. You know how quiet she is. It's impossible to get her to actually tell me what's wrong. I'm really worried about her, and I don't know what to do. Here's some backstory. You know her. She's always been weird and introverted. It's charming most of the time. Ever since she lost her job, though, it's been dialed up to 11. I encouraged her to take up the science project of hers right after because I figured she needed something to ease the transition, but it's been over a year now. I thought she would have found another job outside of engineering, or better yet, decide she's ready to have kids. Not just because of the motherhood credit, but given the extra hours I'm pulling to compensate, we sure could use it. I mean, it's not like I didn't know what I was getting into marrying a girl 15 years younger than me. But the obsession can't be healthy. What happened a couple of days ago really freaked me out, and still does. I get home at 9, as usual, expecting to see her working on whatever it is that she's working on, or watching a drama or something. Instead, she's in the kitchen, on her hands and knees, scrubbing the floor violently. And I mean, our kitchen really is a mess. Everything in the apartment is a mess. I'd clean it myself if I wasn't so dead exhausted after 12-hour workdays. It looked like she had put serious effort into cleaning it up, which seemed good, except actually looking at her, she didn't really look okay at all. Then she looks at me and suddenly starts to cry. Be honest with me. I'm worthless, aren't I? She asked me, totally out of nowhere. What the hell do you say to that? Of course not, I told her as immediately as I could. If she heard me, she didn't show any sign of it. I know I'm worthless as an engineer, or I would have not been fired. I'm worthless as a scientist, or my work would receive attention from people, she whimpered. I'm worthless as a wife, too, aren't I? You're not, sweetie, I told her, and got her to get up and sit on the couch with me because discussing things with her on the floor would just be impossible. I tried doing the usual thing where I hug and rub her shoulders, but it didn't seem to help this time, neither did arguing with her. Our apartment is a disaster. If I were better, it'd be clean, wouldn't it? You are surely disappointed about that, she said. You've been busy, I told her. Don't really understand why she hasn't been able to find time, but I could hardly say yes, could I? We never eat together either. We rarely talk. This is the most we've said to each other all month. It's my fault, she said. Do you have any idea what to say to that? I have no idea how you're supposed to reassure women when they're telling the truth like that. I mean, I knew I couldn't agree, but all I could think to say was, no, it's not, which is pretty lame. How long prior was the last time we even had sex? I'm worthless that way too, she said. Well, something's been on your mind the last few times we tried. It's okay, there's no pressure. Besides, it's not like we're newlyweds. It doesn't matter, that's no excuse, she said. Or have you just given up on me? You've given up on me, haven't you? I tried to say something, but she cut me off. I really am worthless, she cried. And now I'm merely wasting your time with whining, aren't I? You're not worthless. You can always talk to me. That's what I'm here for, I responded. It sounded pathetic the moment I said it. What if I started cooking dinner for you? If I'm spending all my time at home, I merely should be carrying my own weight, she said. You don't know how to cook, sweetie, and that's fine. I truly am worthless, she said loudly and started to cry again. I want to take just a moment to be here and be like, this is way too fucking relatable.
Yeah, most relatable character in the series.
Oh my god. Fucking worthlessness, depression spiral. Yeah, I recognize that. I was at a loss, and frankly, I'm still not sure if what I said was the right thing. It sounded idiotic at the time, and it sounds that way now, even though it got her to stop crying. If you know what I should have said, though, I'm all ears. You can help out more with the cleaning if you want, though. It would be nice. It looks like you... Oh, shoot. Wrong button. It looks like you've already done a lot of hard work, and I really appreciate that, dear. And if you want to, you know, I'm not going to complain. Stumbled over my words like an idiot. An idiot whose idea of comforting his wife is telling her to clean up and have sex with him. What the hell? Even if it did get her to stop crying, I don't know. I'm bad with women, clearly. I can do that. I'd like it to, and it would make me feel less worthless, she said. Besides, I'm your wife. Then she wiped her tears from her eyes and gave me a really intense look. Do you want to? She asked. I'm not a young man anymore. It's not like that's really something I had in mind, especially seeing her like that, but how could I say no? She kissed me, and I got into it soon enough. Don't get me wrong, it's not as if I dislike kissing my cute 20-something wife in her soft lips. Just the circumstances, you know? Sex is supposed to be all about connecting people, but it just made me think that I don't really get her. I have no idea what triggered this. It's really hard not to think about what's going on in her head while she was doing that, and hell if I know. Maybe it's not so bad, though. It felt like she had passion again, at least. I guess it's because she felt like she had to overcompensate, but she took the lead, guiding my hand up her skirt. At the risk of being too graphic, she held my hand while I played with her and kissed me gently. It seemed very sweet of her. After that, she went down on me. I didn't really think anything about it while she was doing it for obvious reasons, but after she was done, she sat on my lap and held my wrist tightly. It occurred to me that this is the first time she had given me head in years. I really hope it wasn't for my sake. I don't know. Her eyes were still watering at that point, but she also refused to let go. I don't know what the hell to make of that. It's been a couple of days, and now the apartment is pretty much all clean. She took it really seriously, I guess. I'm still really worried about her, even after all that. We haven't communicated any better. If she feels worthless, is a clean apartment really going to make her feel like she has value again? I mean, I know she does, I just don't know how to convince her of it. On the other hand, I just realized the one thing right now that I didn't say to her, and I should go do that. So never mind, I guess. I don't need to send this letter after all, which is good because it'd make the next family gathering weird if talking to my wife just made you think of your old brother's manhood. That would be gross. I mean, I sure don't want to think about yours either. Anyway, now I'm gonna go tell her what she really needs to hear. That she should keep on doing her science thing. Whatever the hell it is. It's probably the thing that'll make her feel like she's not worthless. If she believes it's important, that's what she should dedicate herself to doing. That's less awkward and weird than household cleaning and sex, at least. I'll tell her that I'll keep supporting her in her struggle with that. I think that's what she was looking for this whole time. I'm glad I realized that. Love, Naemoon. Aw, came full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Partway through there, I'm like, dude, you're so close to... Oh, and then... Oh, okay, yeah, he got it. Man, although it's legitimately very difficult to know exactly how to handle that. Having been someone who's been on both sides of that depressive spiral,
Yep.
I definitely know that feeling of wanting to communicate something and not being able to do it clearly or well, and it's not really pleasant for anyone involved.
It is not.
Anyway, let's go to the next one. Uh-oh, what's up?
Sorry to get all suddenly serious on you, but I feel really weird reading some of these logs. It's just, especially reading about relationships, I get a very adult feeling from them. Really, it's hard, isn't it? And all this politics stuff, it's just so far above my head. It's hard to admit, but there's just so many things I don't understand at all. I mean, I'm over 600 years old, but I feel like such a child reading some of these things. I liked the idea of following my childhood dreams, being an engineer like my real father. But now I'm reading about someone like Kim So-yi and how hard it was for her, despite being really smart and having a job and a supportive husband in science on her side. And it just makes me think, if even someone like her could barely deal with being a responsible working adult, what hope does someone like me have?
Oh, honey. Let me tell you.
It's hopeless, isn't it? I'll never be a functional adult like them, will I? I believe in you.
Yeah, we do.
You do?
Just like I believe in you.
Nice.
And you believe in...
Against all facts, and reality to the contrary. You believe in me?
Oh. Like I said, together we make one functional human being. Yes. Aww.
Oh, I knew there was a reason why I fell in love with you. Thank you so much for saying that.
You're welcome.
I'm sure with someone as wonderful as you by my side, I can learn how to be in a real adult relationship too.
Yeah.
I can always learn how. And I guess the first step is to try to understand, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Very well, let's get back to reading those logs then. I'm gonna do my best to understand the things that they keep talking about. I'm sure I can if I try.
That's the attitude. Uh-oh, we got mail. Email. From Dispatch Control. I know you didn't ask or anything, but I talked to an AI psychologist to get some context for the whole robot girl shit show you've got going on. It's fine that you're the whole stoic loner type and all, but it might be good for her to get some help. Anyway, I've attached what they said. I figured you'd appreciate it. No need to thank me. Dispatch Control out. While meaningfully different on a lot of levels, AI construct psychology is generally modeled after human psychology, and I personally found this is where problems manifest the most. Often the biggest issue in AI-human relationships has very little to do with any universal particulars of AI psychology, and more to do with very different perspectives on mortality. Simply put, even now, human society is not really meant to accommodate immortality. Were an ordinary human to live for hundreds of years, they'd likely have a very similar experience. When you do a single thing for centuries, you eventually hit the limitations of differentiable skill. For example, a 500-year-old artist is more experienced than a 300-year-old artist, but the difference is so subtle it's drowned out by all other factors by most people. At a certain point, too much experience actually becomes a detriment, becoming too overwhelming to parse and prioritize in most cases. Even given consistent processing power increases, as per Robertson's law, there's simply an upper bound in scalability when it comes to processing memories, and after centuries, this begins to take a toll. What this translates to, generally, is a feeling of overwhelming despondency, although to much younger beings, AIs included, these sentiments can feel more akin to an old man shouting, "Get off my lawn!" Yet it comes from a greater sense of ennui than that, a feeling of one's own mastery and knowledge of a subject being trivial compared to societal trends that become increasingly alienating. It often contributes to a feeling of helplessness. What was pioneered in the 27th century AI psychology, then called robopsychology, was the idea of respecialization. For beings that exist in the social spheres with humans, the best way to stave off those feelings is to consider the much larger scale, and instead focus one's energies on a whole new field, where learning new skills has a much larger personal impact than refining something one has already mastered. For example, I personally used to work as a photographer until moving into human psychology, then later into AI psychology. I still take some pictures now, of course, and I keep up with the work of people like Mark Lee, but I find it's much easier to be positive thinking and optimistic if I don't consider advancement of that medium to be important in my life anymore. I'm sure someday I'll feel the same way about psychology, finding new limitations and attitudes to be frustrated by, but it'll be comforting to know that I could help people while I was emotionally able to, no matter how cynical and slow I'll inevitably get. Generally, I find a good time to consider respecialization is around the 400-year marker, though obviously it depends on each individual. I don't know anything about your particular circumstances. It sounds like culture shock is also a very significant factor, and that can change things a lot too. I would be very happy to speak with the construct in question at my private office on Earth, though. Consider it a personal favor for all you've done for me in the past. Dr. Autumn, the Susan Calvin Institute.
Nice.
Interesting.
An AI psychologist who is also an AI psychologist.
Well played. Think Q&A reads over our shoulders when we read our email?
I don't know.
Where's unread? Here it is.
Show unread.
Oh, right.
The Pale Bride. Background info.
From Kim So-yi.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we're in the same block still. That's me. She's writing about me. Note, this is translated as the Pale Bride instead of Sick Daughter for consistency's sake. The ship sailed on getting that one right a long time ago. Apartment status. Bed is made. Few dishes need to be washed. Takeout containers need to be taken to garbage. Floor is clean. After 2 years without any sort of breakthrough and dozens of appeals without any form of acknowledgement, believe I have discovered the evidence that I need to provide definitive proof. There's always been a bizarre family legend of an eccentric but brilliant ancient Earthborn ancestor who saved his terminally ill daughter through unconventional methods. In some tellings, she is a ghost that lives in the computer. In others, she is sealed away in an alternate dimension to return when the ship has landed on a planet with fresh air. I learned the truth from my grandmother at the New Year's gathering. Who's your grandmother again? Oh, the matchmaker. Right, yeah. Could you not do that while we're... Thanks.
Please have an emergency some other time.
Oh, that was meaner now that I thought about it. In reality, she does exist and is merely in a cryonic sleep in the family's storage closet. I caught a glimpse of her at that gathering and realized that she was the key to proving my hypothesis. Today I returned with my husband to their home, having offered her a great-grandchildren-related bribe in order to have access to the sleeping Pale Bride to run tests. My theory is this. As she has not consumed food or water or breathed air in nearly 1,600 years, if there has been a significant increase in ambient radiation in that duration, she should be significantly less affected by it. Her chamber was sealed partially by glass, so she may not be completely unaffected, but I anticipate that the difference will be readily observable. The technology involved in her preservation seems extraordinarily designed. I could believe that it came from the same level of Earthborn brilliance that built our ship. While my husband was gracefully distracting my grandparents by listening to their stories, I sat up in the storage closet, attempting to open the capsule labeled Kim Hyun-ae, Pale Bride.
Oh, we should click. Hey!
That's me!
That's
Aw,
Hyun-ae.
good photo.
Now we know.
Yeah! This action was easier said than done. A separate hacked-together computer was regulating the capsule, but the labeled switch for opening it was non-operational. It took a significant while to figure out that I needed to connect a secondary battery and insert an override key to enable the switch. It did not help that I was very trepidatious to fiddle with Earthborn design technology that was completely over my head. Accidentally causing damage with my clumsiness would have been disastrous. The warm-up cycle took a good 10 minutes. As I watched her, I became very aware of the fact that she was a real girl. A very old one, an orphan who lost her family centuries ago, who likely had her own hopes and dreams. I found myself hoping that one day we would find a way to let her live the rest of her life, although given the state of modern medicine, optimism would be sadly unfounded. Very unfounded. Even after she was brought back to life from the machine, she did not actually awaken, going from a near-dead state to merely sleeping. She looked very peaceful. I tried not to disturb her too badly when I took a small sample of her blood. Still, she started to open her eyes, mumbling quietly.
Who are you?
She asked. Go back to sleep, little one, I said, touching her face gently. It's not time to wake up yet.
All right,
She murmured, and she closed her eyes again. I suddenly felt guilty and quickly put her back into the freeze where she belonged. It's justifiable, of course. She remains unharmed and will continue to rest peacefully. Doubt she will think of it as anything more than a brief dream, and regardless of any discomfort I cause that poor child, proving my hypothesis may be necessary for ensuring that society thrives until the future where she might awaken. Afterwards, I rescued my brave husband and let my grandparents pester me about our family plans instead. did not mind talking to them, and they discussed things more freely than the usual tone at large family gatherings. I was very alarmed to discover just how badly even the main branch had been doing over the past couple of years. Losing the counselorship and therefore nobility status has had a great impact on everyone, not just me, although I still feel my situation is worse. Hopefully, however, that situation will only be temporary. The data received from analyzing Pale Bride's blood sample supports my theory, and I am confident it will. It should give enough strength that it will be taken seriously again. Things may not improve in the short term, but they will eventually. Of this I have confidence. The future refused to improve, huh?
Yep.
Man, what does that remind me of, that phrasing?
Oh, yeah, something, but what was it?
Oh, Undertale.
What?
But it refused. Like, during the final boss fight, minor spoiler, if you die, your little heart gets split. But instead of dying, it goes back together.
Huh.
And it says, but it refused. Meaning both refused and refused.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I was thinking of.
Is that a JoJo reference?
No, I don't believe so.
See, it was reminding me of something different, but I don't know what it was.
Well, if you think of it, let me know.
Yeah.
Moving in. Room status. I give up. I quit. The act of cleaning is a futile gesture against a human-generated form of entropy, and entropy invariably wins in the end. My attempts to make order out of chaos have been futile. I give up. Moving in has been completed. Not that it was a very long process. We only have 2 rooms now, and they're not very big. Wish we had moved in with my parents instead. If only we had swallowed our pride sooner, but instead my sister beat me to it, so now I'm stuck living with my in-laws in their garishly decorated home. I do not wish to mention it to my husband, because I appreciate the economic circumstances that have necessitated our move, and do not wish to seem ungrateful for the support they are providing by renting us the space. But I do not like my in-laws at all. My mother and father-in-law are old enough to be my grandparents, which is fine. However, I find them to be not to be friendly. They are not rude, they simply do not speak to me, ever. My brother-in-law seems friendly and very spirited, but to me he never says anything and immediately excuses himself from any conversation I attempt to start. I believe they are afraid of me. I don't understand why, and I wish I knew what it was that I have done to inspire such feelings in them. I find it very hurtful to be surrounded by people but have them willfully ignore me for reasons unknown. I stay in the bedroom as much as possible as a result. We have a computer screen next to our bed anyway, so it's sufficient for me to work from. If I bury myself in work, I can ignore these feelings. Thankfully, work continues at a good pace again. Took much longer than anticipated, but I was finally able to use my old processor's equipment at Magungwa University to perform tests on the Pale Bride's blood. The results are unsurprising and the proof is unequivocal. Ambient radiation on the Magungwa truly is much higher than the standard baseline. The current levels are not normal, and with minimal massaging of the data, a linear direct correlation with birth rates and ambient radiation extrapolated from current levels in the Pale Bride's blood can be demonstrated. There is no doubt our society is being killed slowly by infertility caused by increased radiation levels. When my report is complete, I will certainly be able to present it, and I have no doubt it will be taken seriously. I merely have to get through this, finish all this work, and I will finally be able to get my life back on track. Something tells me that optimism might be misplaced. I don't know, maybe it's the fact that we're reading a visual novel, but...
There are happy visual novels.
From what we've played... I guess Dream Daddy was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Valhalla wasn't that sad.
No, but it had a lot of implied sad.
Yeah. But we got that.
Yeah. Room status, dirty. At long last, my final report has been completed. I had to get someone else to submit it for me, but finally my work is starting to pay off. I have an audience with the Counselor of Engineering to present the matter for his consideration. Who dis?
Counselor Han.
Excellent. I was so happy to write the recommendations section, however, thinking about the future and how I would do work that was actually recognized as valuable and help safeguard the ship's future. It makes me feel as though I have a purpose once more. It is a feeling I've forgotten over the past few years, but I would like to remember it again. My husband does not share my optimism. Things have been strained with us as of late. We have never been able to communicate under the best of circumstances, but even more now. I feel as though there's a wedge between us. When I told him about having a chance to prove myself and how I was looking forward to the future, he just seemed upset. I wanted him to be proud of me for making it this far despite all the difficulties. I wanted him to be as supportive of me as he was from the start. I want to feel like I'm not doing this alone, I pleaded with him as we got ready for bed. What are you going to do if they ignore you after all that? What if they don't go through with what you want? What then? He asked me. He seemed disappointed. Have you even considered that possibility? It's unlikely. The data is irrefutable and easy to understand. Radiation is unquestionably the cause of decreased fertility in the Magungwa, I told him. I have confidence that no reasonable person could disregard my report. Fine, I'm sure it is. He trailed off. I don't care. I'm going to bed now. He turned his back on me. Wait, I said, hurrying over to sit in front of him. What if I did make plans for the extremely unlikely event that things do not work out? Would that make you happy? Forget it, he said, annoyed. I mean it, I said. I do not want to be the cause of you being upset. I want things to be amicable between us again. I'm willing to make contingencies for things that I do not believe will occur if it is something that will make you happy. I don't know what the hell that means. You're doing that thing where you talk over my head, and I hate that, he scowled. I'm sorry, I said. If you want me to consider that things might not work out, I will consider it. Let's consider it. I don't think it will happen, but there's no harm in considering it. What's the point? I'm sure you'll find some smart talking way around it in the end, anyway, so you can just go back to your self-obsessed science project shit in the end. You always do, he said angrily. Please don't say that, I said, my voice quavering. You're my husband. I love you more than anything. Please, don't you stop taking me seriously, too. He looked away, and there was a long pause. I felt like crying when just minutes before I was so happy. Eventually, he made eye contact with me. He seemed to be confused. Sorry, he said in a sheepish manner. Do you really mean that? You love me? Yes, of course, I stated. You've never said that to me before, he said. I was skeptical. Are you sure? I asked. I'm absolutely positive, he told me. I was sure he was wrong, but as he just apologized to me, I saw no reason to worsen things by arguing. Well, I do, I said. I love you very much. Come here, you, he said, grabbing me, pulling me onto his lap just like the old days. He hugged me, and I was unable to stop myself from crying at that moment. What's wrong? He asked. I'm happy, I told him. Oh, he said. Let's make fallback plans, I said, in case I'm unable to convince them. What would you like? He was quiet for a moment. I want to have kids, he said. Not because it would help with the money. I just want to have kids. I want to have a girl, an adorable little girl who will be smart and pretty and dedicated, just like her mother. After that, maybe we can have a couple of boys. She'll have to learn to keep them in line, but I can teach her that, and you can teach her science. All right, I said. You promise, he asked? After all this is done, if your presentation doesn't lead to a job, promise you'll sit down and we'll try to have kids? I can make no promises with regards to gender, but I promise if my presentation is unsuccessful, I will give up and we will try to have kids, I said. It seemed to comfort him a great deal. I felt guilty and hoped that he did not have his hopes up. It's unlikely that the report will be ignored, so I will not be following through on that promise. In the future, maybe we will anyway, but it was a promise that would not lead to anything, because I'm certain that I'll be very busy with work in the future. I hope that it does not disappoint him. I'm happy now, though, and I'm optimistic for the future. I have an audience that will lead to something being done about our society's greatest problem, and with the irrefutable and extensive proof I have compiled, it will be taken seriously again. Just a matter of days, I'll be on track again. Yeah, the date.
Yep.
I'm also happy because after I promised that, he took me by the chin, smiled, and said to me, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm also going to kiss you now. I nodded. I'd like that, I told him. When he did, I'd never felt such relief in my life. I had a husband caring about me again, and I had a future, and a value and a purpose, and finally it will not be just me repeating these things to myself. I will have persevered for so long, and soon it will pay off. In just a matter of days. I also enjoyed the kiss aside from its symbolic meaning. It simply felt very nice. I could have melted in his arms right there. I'm certain of it. Everything will be all right.
And then it wasn't.
And then it wasn't.
But yeah, now we know that the Magungwa was dying anyway, even if the Pale Bride didn't kill them all off.
Yeah. They were more or less screwed to begin with. I mean, that's the hardest thing to deal with, is interstellar radiation.
Yeah.
Because there's no effective way to stop it from getting at you. It's just moving too fast to effectively shield. I was reading a book, Beyond Earth, that's what it was, about the actual difficulties of extended space travel. And the biggest problem that they came up with was continued exposure to radiation. There is no good way to shield yourself from interstellar radiation when you're traveling a long-ass distance. The only way you can mitigate that damage is by taking less time. And there's a minimum for how little time you can take.
Taking time to save damage?
Yeah. Close, but the thing is, like, you're taking too much damage so that you wind up getting the run winds up dying. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really surprised that that's what happened here. That's something that would effectively prevent any kind of interstellar expansion, or even solar system expansion, pretty significantly without some kind of way to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. The last time I was on a generation ship to a distant star, I died of radiation and turned into a ghost.
How's that working out for you?
I got better.
Okay. When was that again?
Last weekend.
That's where you were. Son of a bitch. Alright, I just started eating cake.
Well, this is the beginning of Block 6, isn't it?
It is. Quick, read for me for a sec.
Idiots! We've taken a completely functional political institution and replaced it with a collection of absolute idiots, Counselor Mute shouted at me the moment she appeared on screen. Good evening, Counselor, I said. Tough day at work? Don't you start with me, she rolled her eyes, wagging her finger at me. I've dealt with enough bullshit today, okay? I'm sick of it. Sorry, are you the only counselor who's remained after the whole meritocracy thing? Me and Chief Counselor Ryu. Somehow that dimwit was the only other member of the council who managed to pass his exams, she said, throwing up her hands. What the hell?
Thank you. I gave her a look. Not even the Counselor of Education was able to retain his position? Surely one would think he would have no problem, as he controls the exam's content, I said, perplexed. I did not like what I was hearing. This was a radical shake of the political climate, and that is never a good thing.
Like, I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, education stayed in the O family, at least. A couple have actually gone to totally different families altogether,
she said. Whoa, I said in surprise.
Yeah, which is actually pretty big, given the whole nobility status is tied to council positions thing. Meaning that, like, the Kim family just straight up don't count as nobles anymore,
she said. I found myself feeling immensely grateful that my family's status was perpetually tied to Mute, who has the advantage of being perfect and therefore not very likely to fail any exams anytime soon. Regardless of how utterly repugnant the notion of nobility having to prove their status is, I said as much to her. Also, I know it's status. I just can't not say status.
Status.
Like, it's actually a thing. I heard it, someone joked like it that once when I was like in 5th grade, and I have been unable to say it correctly on the first try since. So, forgive me. I'm trying hard, okay?
Status is acceptable, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah,
She said, giving me a look.
Anyway, I want dossiers?
Yeah, it's an
Dossiers on all the new counselors made. First line for each. Utter idiot. But, like, I want to know who these people are, especially the ones from new families. I don't know anything about them, and I want that changed, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I said. I thought about it for a bit, then suggested. We should also keep a close eye on any family that has lost their nobility status, as they may cause trouble. I did it!
Good call,
she said.
Hey, let me bounce a crazy theory off you. Do you think this could have been a power play by Chief Counselor Ryu?
I considered it. It seemed unlikely to me, given all that she had said about that man. She was the one she handpicked for the position of Chief Counselor herself, and her judgment is impeccable. There's no way that it could be a power play, because the whole reason why she suggested him for the position was because he wasn't the sort to make one.
You're probably right,
she said.
Still, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, the whole insufferable meritocracy idea came from President Park, but Ryu's the one who formally proposed it in council on his behalf. And now that it's in place, he's the only one who's still got a position. Makes you wonder. I like how... Wait, can we scroll up a little?
Yep.
Oh, damn it. It said, I wonder in Hyone's dialogue.
Yeah.
Is everyone eating the powder that makes you say I wonder?
I still don't believe it to be in character, I said.
Okay, well, I said it was a crazy theory.
She shrugged.
Anyway, what have you got to report to me today?
We spoke no more of the new council that day. And how right they turned out to be. This is Husa Young, right?
Yep.
Yep. Ooh, remember that huge fucking dick move? Like, if you really love me, Husa Young, you'll surrender.
Yep.
Yeah. This is harder to read knowing what happens at the end.
Yep.
Which just fascinates me because we have to... The game makes you hit the climax 2/3 of the way through.
And then see the rest of it in the light of knowing the ending already.
Exactly. You're not allowed to get all the information before you hit the climax. You have... Some of it has to remain unknown, so you have to read through some of it now knowing how it ends. Which I think is a really fascinating way of doing it. Because you get like 2/3 of the game to kind of build up your own theory.
Mm-hmm.
It drops it on you, and then you have to read through the rest of it being like, oh shit, I see where the dots are connecting now.
Yup.
Yesterday I lost my husband.
Well, shit.
Yep. Today I have to deal with the aftermath. I'm writing this as a way of resting in lieu of sleeping. I don't have time for that luxury. There's a few leads we're following up on, but they don't seem promising. The morning after I discovered he was gone, I had no choice but to contact his parents to let them know. His father was understanding and sympathetic. His mother didn't say a word, as per usual. I promised them I would get to the bottom of it and got back to work. But mere hours later, Counselor Mute and I were interrupted by his uncle, the former Counselor of Engineering, bursting into my office.
Not a counselor anymore.
No. How could you let this happen? He demanded, immediately starting a confrontation. What? That's you. Sorry.
Watch your tone.
Mute snapped before I could. Excuse me? I asked. What happened that he just disappeared? He said, audaciously. I knew letting him marry someone like you was a mistake. What did you do to scare him off? Scare him off? I stammered, taken aback by the insanity of his question.
I said, watch your tone, young man.
Mute snapped at my elderly uncle-in-law. I lost my husband. Don't you dare come in here and give me that, I told him. Well, you better be dedicating all your resources to finding him, he said to me. At that point, I absolutely lost it at the combination of audacity and stupidity. Find him? Find him, I shouted, standing up. Do you think he just up and wandered off? Do you think he's just off hiding on some other deck? Took a walk off into space? This is a spaceship. It's at a 100-deck sealed environment. I know exactly where every single living man, woman, and child on the ship is at the exact moment. Aren't you supposed to be an engineer? Don't you know how biometric scanners work? There are cameras on every single corridor on the ship, and I have the security clearance to do everything short of watching you slip in the shower. Maybe a half-senile washed-up failure of a former counselor could lose the position they married, but I'm the chief security officer. I had to take a breath at that point. Then I wiped the tears from my eyes, slammed my head against the desk, and continued. If someone is missing to me, that means they're dead. The man I loved and vowed to protect with my life has been killed. Almost certainly deliberately, I said. There was a silence. And you have the nerve to walk into my office and give me this shit while I'm mourning a far, far better man than you ever were. It took him aback, but didn't make me feel better. Even thinking about how it now makes me equal parts angry and sad. After a long pause, he finally found something just as inappropriate to say as before. Then maybe you should have protected him.
Mr. Kim.
Mute snapped.
You are completely out of line.
You too, he said. Do you really think anyone would try to hurt him for any reason other than to get at his oh-so-important wife? You made it a target, then couldn't even protect him. Get out of my office, I told him, with as much venom as I could muster. You might as well have killed him yourself. He never meant that much to you anyway. Was it worth it, he asked. That's the point where I snapped. I called out to the security officer stationed at the door. Give me your sidearm and wait outside, I told him. He did, bowed, and left the office looking alarmed. Get out of my office now, I shouted, pointing the gun at him. What are you? He stammered in shock before I cut him off. Get out right now, or I swear I will strike you down where you stand, I screamed at him tearfully. Now! Crazy woman, he said, stumbling out and quickly disappearing. Then the officer reappeared with a maid beside him. Ma'am, she has a message from the chief counselor. I didn't say anything. She said, looking at the gun with concern. Chief Counselor Ryu wants to express his sincerest condolences to the widow of Get the fuck out, I screamed at her too. She ran away in alarm and the security officer shrunk away. The door closed after them. I threw the gun angrily in response, and I slumped down into my chair, exhausted. I sighed and turned to my superior. A moment of silence passed. I think I would have done it, I said, more thinking out loud than anything. You wouldn't have actually let me shoot him, right? She smiled at me, please. She smiled at me.
Please, So Young. I shut down every weapon in the office the moment he walked in,
She said, giving me a sympathetic look. I couldn't help but laugh. Thanks, that would have been pretty bad, wouldn't it? I took my handkerchief and wiped more tears from my eyes without thinking. A blackened smear followed it. Oh no, don't lie to me. How bad is my makeup right now? She said.
Well, it's kind of like... I guess, let me put it this way. Have you ever seen a plasma relay explode?
Oh, hell, I said, sinking further into my chair. I'm not taking this well. Wow, I'm really not taking this well.
Well, you know, every single couple I've known, I've watched one of them lose the person who was most important to them in the end.
She said. He's not the most important, I admitted quietly.
Oh.
She responded after a moment, seemingly getting what I meant. She didn't acknowledge it, past adding.
Okay.
You know what sort of relationship we had? Had, I suppose. We never wanted to be singularly devoted to each other, but regardless, still he was my husband, I said, my eyes watering a little, hoping that I wasn't sounding terrible. I love him, admire him, respect him. We were even talking about having another child together.
I gotcha,
she said. From nowhere in particular, a cigarette appeared in her hand, and she gracefully lit it in one gesture.
Really, what I was trying to say was, there's no such thing as taking it well.
Since when do you lie to comfort people? I asked her.
Man, I'm not lying. It's the honest truth,
she said. You're mute, though. You're perfect. You wouldn't fall apart like this, I said.
Oh, yeah, right. Ms. Ha, I've loved more people than you've ever known in your entire life,
she told me.
Like when I lost my first love. He was my programmer on Earth, a ridiculous otaku, a sweetheart, and a smoker. He's the one who got me into this habit,
she said, waving her cigarette.
It took me 100 years to get over him. I mourned him for longer than he was ever even alive, okay? You know how I finally did it? I had to delete my memories of our happiest moments together, so I'd stop dwelling on them. I lose everyone, So Young, okay? I've loved so many people, and in the end, all of them turned to ash,
she said sadly, tapping on the end of her cigarette, causing little gray flecks to flutter downwards, then disappear.
What I'm saying is, no, I don't take it well either, okay? I just stopped letting myself fall in love is all.
How sad, I said, trailing off.
Don't pity me. My point is, not being able to deal with it is normal.
I suppose. Thanks, I said.
So what about at home?
She asked. It's been difficult. The maids are all absolutely inconsolable. They're honestly taking it worse than I am. I mean, they loved him, I said reluctantly.
In more than one sense.
Don't go there. They're a bunch of heartbroken young women, and I feel bad for them. Especially Miss Lim, I said. Yep. Although I do wish they'd tone it down a little. So he heard them crying about him and came to me asking where her daddy was.
Oh, poor Sohee. Oh geez, what a bunch of stupid girls. You'd think they'd be more careful around your daughter,
she said harshly.
What did you tell her?
I sighed. The truth, I said. I told her that her father had been killed, that Mommy was very upset, and it was fine for her to be too. And then I was going to find out who did that and punish them. I mean, what else could I possibly say to her? I don't know, should I have lied to her?
Geez, no. Kids are smart. I mean, your maids are a bunch of idiots, but still, she's a smart kid. She'd know something was up,
she said. It's just, there's a whole house full of people close to him that's crying over him. His own family that hates me and my siblings that are probably too scared to go near me right now. But I'm sure they're upset too. And it's, I don't even know, I said, starting to lose control of my emotions again. Just so much, I wish.
It's okay. You want him back. I get it. That's normal,
she told me. I don't want him back. That's stupid. He's dead. Nothing's gonna change that, I said, trembling. I want to find out whoever did this, and I want to fucking kill them.
You really think that'll make you feel better?
She asked patronizingly. No, I said. Of course not. but it's what he deserves. She gave me a long look, then flicked away her cigarette far off screen.
Okay, Lieutenant. Good enough for me. But please, I want you to go home, wash up your face, and try to get a couple hours of rest.
She said, adding before I had a chance to argue.
That's an order. I want my best officer to be up to speed and not trembling in her chair. Got it?
Yeah, got it, I said softly. I couldn't argue, I really was trembling in my chair.
Then, after that, I want you to get back here and get to work on finding out what barbaric idiot decided to commit the treason of declaring war on my family. I want them found, I want them caught, and I want them and every single thing they stand for destroyed. I want them hurt so badly for generations to come, people wince in fear at the thought of hurting anyone under my protection.
She said, clenching her wrinkled fists tightly.
Does that meet your approval, Miss Ha?
I was moved to tears. I had to wipe my eyes again and take a deep breath. Yes, ma'am, I said, still trembling but intensely grateful.
Okay, good. Now go, get some rest.
She ordered.
You're dismissed.
So here I am, getting the closest thing to rest that I can. Now it's time to get to work. Yeah, that is a pretty badass speech from you there.
Yeah. Well.
That's the end of that selection.
What's next?
More M6, right?
Yeah.
Alright.
It's nap time.
Nap time!
Bye-bye.
Distracting messages.
What do we get?
What I'm gonna get is a slice of cake.
Delightful.
Brownie cake. Nah. Alright. Oh.
Where the heck were we? That's all M3. That's all There's an M6. Park Jin-soon. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that's all of Block 6 right there.
That's the end of Block 6, yep.
Yep.
So then after this, we'll finally get to Block 3.
Yeah. The third and final block.
I mean, that's right. That's still correct, strictly speaking. But damn if you didn't just make my head hurt.
It's the third block, and it's the final one. There are 6.
Why would you do this to me?
Alright. Time for more logs.
I like logs.
They're comfy and easy to wear.
Mm-hmm. Nah. Oh, that's not a link.
Have a link.
I thought it was because it was in blue, but then down here it's not.
Oh, interesting. So now we learn about Professor
I haven't started reading yet.
Yeah, but still.
Alright. Hi, I'm Park Jin-sung. If you don't know who I am, I'm the student representative and, in Professor Kim's absence, now acting president of academics against Neo-Confucianization. I like to think we're close, but truthfully I didn't know Professor Kim very well. I've only been his student for a mere 5 years, my entire adult lifetime. But for him, the time I knew him was a flash in the pan, a mere fraction of a 3-decade-long academic career. I can say, however, the time in which I knew him was a time that he considered to be one of the most pivotal in his lifetime, the founding of AANC. He was the last holdout professor to teach classes exclusively using Korean script over Chinese script. His specialty was in Earth history, and where nobody else did, he recognized Magungwa University President Oh Yun-ah's program of promoting Neo-Confucian classics for what it is. A retrograde ideology with myriad problematic aspects, not least of all involving the intersectionality of classism and sexism. He was one of the smartest people I've ever known, both a mentor and a father figure to me. I don't know why, but he saw a lot in me, and I've struggled immensely to live up to his expectations. No doubt he would be disappointed in what I'm about to do, and it pains me to say this. As of today, Academics Against Neo-Confucianization will be officially disbanded. Professor Kim was an extraordinary and stubborn man who had the determination and charisma to fight to the end. He was unique in that regard, a pinnacle above all others. Nobody could possibly fill his shoes. Without him, AANC doesn't have the leadership or the clout to keep going on. In these past 2 months, I've tried my hardest, but the sad reality of the matter is I have let him down. I cannot take the role of that extraordinary man. With nobody else willing or able to step up to that role, I'm afraid there's just no point in going on. To everyone who believed in me, I'm sorry. To everyone who believed in Professor Kim, I'm especially sorry. This is my failure, not his. I will, however, thank the university for graciously deciding, despite their disagreements, to dedicate this auditorium in memorial of him. I ask you not to remember him by what has happened to AANC in his absence, but to remember him for his willingness to fight for what he believed in, for his brilliance and compassion, for all the scholarship he contributed on the subject he loved, for his ability to inspire anyone to understand the importance of studying history. I'll end on this note. One day when I was having an absolute misery of a time with some silly adolescent relationship problem, I confided in him, rambling for 2 whole hours about how I didn't know what to do and could he offer me any advice. He listened to it all very patiently, and when I was done, he was silent as he thought about it for a good while. Finally, he said to me, "Here's the most important thing, Mr. Park. For fuck's sake, it's not always about being clever. You have to be decent to her. For fuck's sake, it's not always about being clever. You have to be decent." It's easy to be angry, to cast blame, to be spiteful, but I hope if there's any way I can redeem myself in his eyes and live up to the standard he set, it's making sure his legacy is inspiring people to be to be critical, to be curious, but to above all else, always be decent. You have to be decent. Thank you. Damn.
Are you getting a Vonnegut vibe here with that quote?
I'm not. Are you?
I am. For some reason it's not always about being clever. You have to be decent.
Mm-hmm.
For fuck's sake. Reminds me so much from God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. There's only one rule that I know of, babies. God damn it, you've got to be kind.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah. Damn, I don't think I've read that one. That's not one of his short story collections, right? That's a novel?
It's a novel.
Okay.
I remember fucking nothing other than that one quote.
Man, the only... as long as we're speaking about Vonnegut, you want to know one weird connection between Vonnegut and this game we're playing?
Yes, I do.
So, did you ever read the novel Galapagos?
No.
So, the novel Galapagos had a weird... way of being written that certain characters would have a star directly before their name. It was silent, you wouldn't pronounce it, but it would only appear there the day before they died.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't get it either. And I think we might be looking too much into that connection.
Nope. False.
But it is there. And the reason I remember it is because that's the one thing the novel stood out to me for. That and seal people. And Kazakh the dog. Isn't Kazakh the dog like a Vonnegut thing that just shows up everywhere?
Maybe.
I think that's one of those Vonnegutisms, like Kilgore Trout.
Mm-hmm. I have not read as much Vonnegut as perhaps I should.
I've only read a handful of his stuff, not all of which I was super enamored with, and I haven't read any of his stuff in the past several years. I didn't particularly care for Slaughterhouse-Five.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was fucking classic tier, you know? I think my favorite of his that I wound up reading was it Player Piano? It wasn't Player Piano. I thought was really good, even though it was pretty damn straightforward. I think Sirens the Titan was pretty damn boring. Breakfast of Champions had too much to talk about penises. Do I actually like Kurt Vonnegut?
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't sound like I like Kurt Vonnegut. Huh. I'll think on this later.
I have, however, discovered that Kurt Vonnegut gives an excellent justification for schoolgirl moe.
What?
Kurt Vonnegut was quoted as saying, "High school is closer to the core of the American experience than anything else I can think of." And that's why it's fine to set things in high school.
Why do I own Slaughterhouse-Five in hardcover?
Because you like it? Maybe?
But do I?
I don't know.
All evidence points to me not. I'm so confused by myself right now. Hold on. No, I really gotta find out the answer to this now. Okay, where's my Vonnegut?
This is officially derailed. We're off the rails now.
Where is all my Vonnegut?
No more space murder mystery.
No, we'll get back to
Only
it.
bibliography now.
We'll get back to it in a second. I just want to find... Where's my Vonnegut?
Nobody knows. Our books are not in any particular order anymore.
No, they're not. Oh, there's a second layer back on that Okay, never mind. We need more shelves.
Yeah.
Alright, we're back. Sorry, this was all my fault. Actually, no, you started.
That was my fault.
Okay. So Young. She had a 3-inch penis. This wide.
This is not Breakfast of Champions.
That's still the only thing I remember about that book. And I did not care for it. Alright. In my entire life, I've never had a more exhausting month. I'm supposed to be the second most powerful woman on the ship when it comes to security, yet increasingly I feel powerless and utterly drained. It's not as if I haven't dealt with serious crises before, yet this is just one thing that I'm powerless against after another. I've completely hit a dead end in finding the bastard who murdered my husband. There have been flagrant acts of outright sabotage leading up to the election. Councillor Mew has been powerless to stop the council from enacting horrible legislation like the Unity Act. And then, while I was trying to enjoy a single night with my little girl eating dinner, the last chance I will surely have before the election in 3 days, I could not even do that without things somehow managing to become unimaginably worse. Oh, that's right, it's you.
Drop what you're doing right now.
Mute yelled, suddenly appearing in my dining room without any warning.
There's no time to explain.
That...
But I need you and your best officers at the President's residence within, 5 minutes. President's residence, President's residence, President's residence, President's residence, President's...
You almost made it.
I got close.
Is this about? I started to ask, but was immediately interrupted.
I said, no time to talk.
She said, shouting more authoritatively than I've ever heard in my life. Call your men while you're walking, okay? You've literally got 5 minutes to get there. In fact, don't walk, run. I'm not joking now, okay?
But that's my only line.
No, shit, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I took it. Go ahead.
No, it's over now.
No, don't do it. Do it.
It's over
from
now.
there.
Nope.
Do it.
Where? From where?
Call.
Nope. You already said it. We have to go forward now. We have to...
I'm sorry, honey. Sorry, sweetie. Mommy has to run, I told Sohee, then raced into action post-haste. I don't know how, but I managed to make it down in 5 minutes myself, somehow, to see Mute arguing loudly with a man in an electoral monitor's uniform, with several more in tow.
Okay, good. My lieutenant's arrived. She can put up with your bullshit instead,
She said. Yes, ma'am, I said, catching my breath. It was pretty bad. I'm way too old to be running like a young woman like that. My officers are on their way. They should be... Never mind, there they are. I was promptly joined by 3 men from the corridor, several more running in front, from the other direction. You don't have jurisdiction here, the leader of the group of electoral monitors barked. You cannot stop me, Counselor. I have orders to arrest.
I have no patience for this. Take it from here, please, So-Young,
Mute said, disappearing from the outside screen. But then she said, only into my earpiece.
He's right. We don't. Stall for as long as you possibly can without breaking any laws.
Yes, ma'am, I said, nervous from lack of information. I still had no idea what the hell was going on at this point, although I would later learn that she was getting President Park to change the ship's root password so it couldn't be transferred to Chief Counselor Ryu.
And that worked real well.
Yep. I just arrived. I'm not briefed, I said honestly, having no idea what was going on at this point. What's going on? You do not have authority here. Step aside, he barked. Stared him down. I recognized him. He was a former security officer I had personally recommended to be given to electoral monitor unit because he was useless, but too politically difficult to get rid of. He was loud, but that was all he had going for him. Then I grabbed him by his collar. There's no way I could have actually overpowered a man his size, but I knew he was a coward. Or at least I hope my assessment was right. Listen here. I'm going to say this once and only once, I said, having absolutely no clue what I was going to say. I am under orders from the Council of Security not to let you through. If you try to go through me, I will have you arrested on the spot for interfering with security operations. By the time I finished saying that, all my officers had arrived, and I had a good 10 men and women in various degrees of being uniformed and armed standing behind me. I'll have you arrested for, he started to yell. Then I realized what would actually do it and put him down quickly, interrupting. Shut up, officer. I outrank you and my orders outrank yours, I said, counting on the hope that he actually was following orders. Let's be civilized and do this properly through the chain of command. Do you think either of our bosses want to see an altercation between security forces? Just explain to me what's going on, and if you're in the right, I'll let you through. For the record, I am absolutely confident that we could have taken them all down if it had come to a physical altercation. It would have been a truly bad idea to do so with serious political repercussions, but Still, I'm certain we could have. For the record. The president and most of his campaign team is under arrest for conspiracy to commit electoral fraud, he said angrily, but not escalating things further, thankfully. It should be obvious that this falls under our jurisdiction. You have no standing here. Of course, I said. Just let me confirm that the arrest warrant is in order. I will gladly stand aside. He seemed momentarily taken aback, so I kept talking. You do have an arrest warrant, right? We're talking about the president himself here. A signed warrant from Counselor of Justice required by law, I said, counting on him not knowing that wasn't true. If you don't move out of the way now, I'll have you executed. Or arrested. Okay. Whoa, that escalated.
Whoa.
That escalated. I'll have you arrested, Hughes Gold. Mr. Listen to yourself, I said, scolding him in the same voice I used with my daughter and my maids. I'm just concerned that you follow proper protocol. Do you think that Chief Counselor Ryu, he suddenly flinched, will ever promote you if you make a botch job out of the most high-profile arrest in the ship's history? I'll ask you again, one last time for your own sake. Do you have all the paperwork from the Counselor of Justice in order? He started, then stopped. I'll confirm it with him. None of you move, he shouted at his officers, then stepped aside to talk privately on his earpiece, presumably to the Counselor of Justice, while all his officers tried their hardest to stare down mine. Only when his back was turned did I let myself exhale a sigh of relief. No officer I would have trusted with something that so important would have flinched like that. Ma'am, I said quietly into my own earpiece, if you need more than a minute, I can do that, but I think it will be very rapidly get unpleasant.
Do not use violence, Young. Absolutely do not under any circumstances use violence, okay?
Understood, ma'am, but that's all I can do at this point, I said. Sorry, he's back. Electoral monitor returned with slightly less skeleton than before. The Counselor of Justice confirmed that everything is in order. He also gave me permission to arrest anyone standing in the way of executing the warrant. Chief Security Officer or not, he said smugly. Very well, I said, trying to think of something else I could say or do. I couldn't, short of punching him in his smug jaw as he deserved. Spoke into my headset right in front of his face. Ma'am, if you don't respond now, I'm going to have no chance. She appeared on screen outside the president's door. Okay, there's... oh, sorry.
Okay, there's no need for any trouble here. He's on his way out right now, and will be surrendering peacefully.
Counselor Mute announced to him.
Mr. Ha, I trust that won't be a problem?
He has 1 minute, Counselor, he said. It was almost certainly the most intense minute of my entire life. Everyone was silent, every party involved trying to stare down the other. But sure enough, after a minute, President Park emerged. For the record, I strongly protest this outrageous fascist circumvention of democratic process, he declared loudly, but I will peacefully surrender in the hope that this is dealt with swiftly. As if you can say that, you traitorous scum. You're the one planning to fix the elections and orchestrating acts of sabotage. If there's any justice, you'll die in prison, the electoral monitor snapped as one of his men handcuffed the president.
Mr. Ha, my department will be supervising President Park every step of the way. Like, let your boss know that if he's even treated slightly improperly, I'll know about it right away, okay?
Mute said.
Just so we're absolutely clear.
Just don't interfere, he said. Take him away. From that point onwards, it was, as President Park himself would call it, an utter shit show. And to think that circumstances would actually cause us to side with that man on anything. But in the end, there was nothing that could be done. I could see it in Mute's eyes that for once she too had felt as though she could only accept defeat this time. I don't understand what just happened, I said to her after the arrest was made and President was locked up for the night.
Me neither,
was all she said without any confidence. I'm scared, ma'am, I admitted.
Yeah,
she said, not elaborating any further.
Yeah.
With everything that happened that night, supervising the arrest powerlessly, I couldn't even make it home until late at night, far past the hour anyone was still awake. I went to check on my daughter, peacefully asleep, already tucked in by one of the maids, and I fell to my knees, lamented that I was so powerless I couldn't have been there to do that for her. Shit. So why was he getting arrested again? I need a...
Well, it seems like Ryu's faction, whoever that might be, is accusing President Park of having conspired to commit sabotage and to fix the election.
Interesting.
Whether that's true or not, we don't know, but it seems like Mute was on Park's side there.
Interesting.
And was buying time to get the root password changed so that Mute would retain control.
There we go. Election Night 2.
From my internal logs, 9:01 p.m. in Hasa Young's office. Well, polls are now closed, I suppose, she said. Who even cares? I sighed. We both know there might as well be only one candidate in the running now. 5 years of President and Chief Counselor Ryu. Like, maybe he'll invent some new titles for himself now that he has all the power on the ship. Grand Emperor Ryu. Which he later does.
Yep. Well, they actually predicted that one completely right.
I lit a cigarette, wishing I could have gotten the emotional release out of it that the man I was imitating had gotten. Then I reflected on it and remembered that he didn't get anything out of it either. It was just an addiction. What's this going to mean? She asked. I knew that she already knew exactly what the implications were. It means he's pretty much defanged the security veto, since he'll have the presidential override and all, I said. I can't believe this actually happened. My worry was always, with 5 more years of President Park, like, I never thought it would be this. Has anything like this ever happened before? She asked. Yeah, in 2551, I said, recalling the comparison that's been on my mind the most as of late. There was a revolution. It only lasted like 5 years, by peasants who believed in total democracy. They managed to steal the root password and held the ship hostage until we surrendered. We had no choice. But it didn't last, right? You were able to put things right in the end, weren't you? She asked. Yeah, I trailed off. Yeah, but it was absolutely catastrophic. Star got irreparably damaged in the process. He was the ship's navigation AI, and those revolutionary fuckers killed him. We got the people under control in the end, but the damage was already done. Like, if something that bad happens again, well, it can't, okay? It can't. What do we do now, then? She asked. I could see fear and uncertainty in her eyes, and, like, I really wanted to say something to reassure her. I wanted to have a good answer. I don't know, Se-Young, I said. I've got nothing. Break open the vintage 3899 you got from that kid last election, I guess? I think drinking vicariously through you is the best I can manage this evening. Oh, I forgot all about that. I'd been saving it for, well, it hardly matters anymore. So, remember how that was the younger Ha who was dating Mimi?
Uh-huh.
He was the one who dropped off that wine?
Oh, yeah!
Callback.
Nice. Chekhov's wine.
Yep. Well, it hardly matters anymore. I suppose I might as well, she said, getting up to find the bottle. I already knew what she had been saving it for anyway. Her 20th anniversary. It would have been this year. It's not as if I think we'll have anything worth celebrating in the future. She popped the cork and poured herself a glass. I imitated her gesture, rendering a glass of my own into my hand. What should we toast? She asked. I don't know, I said, being too fucking old to handle this shit. She raised her glass to my screen. Here's to being too fucking old to handle this shit, she said. The words didn't ring right coming from her. Aside from when she was angry, cursing never suited her. Cheers, I said. She took a long sip. She paused, reflecting on it. I thought it'd be better, she finally said. She took another sip. Then she laughed. It's awful. This is actually the worst wine I have tasted in my life. Good thing I didn't share it with my husband, she said, laughing uncomfortably again, going to pour her usual whiskey instead. This is the worst. It's like drinking vinegar. You know, counselor, this may well actually be vinegar. I guess I should have anticipated that from a 150-year-old bottle of wine. As if something that old could be anything but worthless.
Ooh.
I rolled my eyes. If only I could be, like, 150 and young again, I said. I'm better at dealing with those feelings, but I'm not that much better. Maybe I'd be less scared if I had 1,600 years of experience, she said. I don't know, Se-Young. I'm tired. I'm just so fucking tired, Se-Young, I said to her, taking a drag. Everything is changing. All these young men in politics are causing so much damage, and, like, I'm just so tired. She moved her chair up close to my screen. How can you be tired? You're a computer. It's not as though you have a body that can age, she asked sympathetically. Well, you know, I'm made up of all sorts of little processes that get increasingly bloated over time. Every time I get a new piece of input, I have to process it and cross-reference it against the data from all those years of experience in order to contextualize it, I told her. I'm not designed for this. I was only supposed to be around for 1,000 at most, okay? It just gets so tiring. I'm so sorry, she said to me, looking like she had taken it harshly. I feel as though... I missed the last election night. We spent all night scrambling to put down protests. Things felt so simple and under control then. Look, So-Young, we'll get through this. One fraudulent election isn't enough to render us powerless. I promise, okay? I promise you, I said. I'm just scared, ma'am, she said, putting her hand against the screen. I'm not allowed to be scared. I'm expected to be strong, commanding. I should be able to stare down any man. I should be able to keep on top of everything that happens on the ship. I should be able to protect my family. I should be able to raise my daughter. There's too much on me, and I've failed too many times. I'm scared. I'm not allowed to be scared, but I'm scared. I know. It's okay. Look at me, I said, drawing my own hand touching hers, and trying my best to come up with bravado. It was the best I could do to comfort her. I'm fucking mute, AI in charge of the Mugungwa's security operations. I've been keeping the Mugungwa safe since 2390, and I will do whatever it takes to keep it that way if it kills me. As it will. Look at me. Look me in the eyes. It's my responsibility to keep things under control, Lieutenant. All you have to do is follow orders and believe me when I say things are going to be okay. They're going to be tough, but they're going to be okay. It's not your job to worry about that. Let me be strong. Let me be in control. I believe in you. Do you trust me, Lieutenant? Can you follow that order? She stared at me, finishing her shot of whiskey in one. I had given this speech to her before, when she was still afraid to be so familiar to me and had much younger eyes. And I'd given that speech to at least a dozen men and women in the past. I'm no longer able to tell if it's bullshit or not. Yes, ma'am, she said quietly. Thank you. Good, I said. Then believe me, we'll get through this okay. Just watch me. At that point, I checked the network for notifications. As I expected, the election results had come in, for all that they mattered. Now come on, get up, I said to her in my best approximation of a matronly voice. The election results are in. 5 years of Chief Counselor and President Ryu. Do we have a dossier yet on the biggest threat to ship security? You mean Ryu? No, we don't, she said, her voice becoming less shaky. Well, let's get it together, Lieutenant, I ordered her. Yes, ma'am, she said, confident again.
Damn.
So, seems like it was a power grab by Ryu, somehow. It seems like he's in control now.
Uh-oh. Well, I mean, that's how we know it ended.
Yep.
Because we read the fucking council minutes for that one block, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Daily report for December 11 by Hussey Young. On Councilor Mute's orders, I attended Chief Counselor and now President Ryu's victory party on her behalf. I'll confess that I've managed to avoid most parties outside of my family for a very long time by choice, but this was an even more deeply alienating experience than I expected in light of that. The entire council, excluding the Counselor of Security, of course, was in attendance, as well as various men from the Ryu family who were apparently involved in his campaign, and several of the electoral monitors, the one I stared down on earlier this week included. We didn't talk. I wore my dress uniform there, as any sane person would, and I ended up being the only person wearing pants. Literally everyone else was wearing some manner of traditional attire or another. I asked around about this, and apparently it's been the fashion at all formal events for the past year now? I had no idea, having spent the time being preoccupied with matters that are vastly more important than nobles and their absurd, fabulous parties. This isn't about fashion, though. I don't really know if this is relevant, but there was one thing that I found to be profoundly off-putting. Excluding maids and entertainers, I was the only woman present in attendance. After a certain point in the evening, when the wine had flown freely for a while, the new President Ryu trotted out, out of all people, my long estranged niece, Ai-chung.
Remember A-chung?
A-chung? A-chung. Oh, shit.
The gay one?
Yep. The gay actress.
It's callback hour, where we learn about the sad, horrible fates that happened to all the characters we cared about in the previous blocks.
Oh, good. While she sang dramatic love songs in uncomfortably intimate quarters with several counselors, I discreetly interrogated one of the maids. Evidently, A-Chung had been unable to support herself and her younger sister based off theater income anymore.
Younger sister?
Younger sister.
Yup. Mister, she's my sister.
Uh-huh.
We're close.
I was now living under Ryu's roof, providing entertainment for his visitors. I'm utterly certain that A-Chung is an only child, but never mind that for now. Yeah, come on, Hyune, put it together. Put it together. Neither me or her father, have spoken to her at all in well over a decade, but suppose I assume she continued to have a successful career. I don't understand what happened. This probably isn't relevant to anything political, but since she's part of our family, I thought you should know. Past that, I learned very little of any value from attending, I'm afraid. None of the counselors present were willing to share more than the same blandly stilted pleasantries you would have gotten from them. I can only really report back a couple of things of value. Firstly, as I suspected, the electoral monitor responsible for arresting President Park is on very close speaking terms with Ryu. I don't know if that's useful, but it's confirmation at least. The second and most important thing is not good. I overheard a very drunk counselor of justice who didn't realize I was standing nearby, saying, and I quote, "We tried to get it out of him, but it looks like the only person who knows the password is that bitch." Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make out anything more from him, thanks to some very loud singing from A-Chung drowning them out. Beyond that, I was unable to learn anything else. There's nothing of tremendous use in there, I'm afraid. And that's my report for today. More than I think you realize was of use in there. Oh, hey, we get to learn about Oyana.
We do.
Can you hold this for 2 seconds? I need to run off and grab a bandage.
Yep. From my internal logs, 7:20 p.m. in the He household during our daily meeting. "So Young, we've got a serious problem," I said, immediately after appearing on her living room computer screen. "Has the situation with the council gotten worse?" she asked. "Yes, obviously," I said, as if she couldn't tell. "The very first meeting of the council after the election, and, suddenly Chief Counselor Ryu has dropped any pretense of civility. He rams through a budget change that will cut security's budget in half to give to the electoral monitors instead. Immediately. This is the first meeting." "Wait, you can't be serious," she said, shocked. "That's impossible. We're already short-staffed as is. We can't afford that." "Well, yeah, and it turns out the security veto isn't much good when one man has the power to both propose legislation and also override the veto," I said. At that moment, I felt overwhelmed by ire. I could barely even get in anything, okay? They talked over me. The Council of the Mugunghwa literally fucking talked over me, the Counselor of Security, the whole time. "Of all the audacious," she said, looking as angry to hear that as I was to say it, "I can't believe they'd do that to you. To you." "There's another thing here that isn't right, though," I started. "What could be worse than showing you that kind of disrespect?" she asked. "Well, it was Ryu himself who proposed the legislation," I said, without even the slightest bit of argument from anyone but me. "I don't understand," she said. I felt disappointed. She should have been able to catch what was weird about that immediately. "Because when it comes to proposing legislation, he's just the Counselor of Captaincy, right? But that should be under the purview of the Counselor of State," I said. "So, he has him on his side," she said. "That isn't unusual. Political alliances aren't weird. Certainly there's been legislation proposed by other counselors as a proxy for him before. But, now he's not even putting up that facade? What's weird is that apparently the entire counselor is literally eating out of his hands. It's very strange. You'd think they'd have learned to use plates, but no. Hand feeding, all meeting long. Even soup. That's just unsanitary. If they're letting him even overtly be responsible for proposing legislation," I said, realizing that I have alternated between saying legislation and legislation each time that word came up thus far.
It's alright, I think it's cute.
"Really, I'd assumed that he'd been responsible for proposing legislation before," she said, still looking confused. "Sure, the Unity Act, but that was something that was directly about him," I said, certain that was the only piece of legislation that he'd proposed himself, rather than getting one of the new counselors to do it. Tongue twister city here. So many long words. I don't use words this long usually.
Do you want me to take back the mouse again?
Okay.
So it doesn't hurt your delicate little forepaws?
Okay.
Alright.
I ran a check through every single set of minutes of the new council to be sure. Certain enough, every act and amendment had been proposed by someone else. Really? She said, looking puzzled. Are you sure? When she said that, I did another check of the data to be sure. Again, nothing proposed by him directly. I'm sure, I just checked, and despite there being pieces of legislation that were almost certainly his idea, none of them came from Chief Counsel Ryu himself. Every single one was proposed by one of those idiot new council... Then I suddenly stopped, my own phrasing making the slowest process reanalyze my search conditions. They were faulty. Of course they were faulty, it was too narrow. Oh no, I said. Of course. You're right, Lieutenant. I'm getting too old for this. Too slow. I would have made the connection instantly when I was your age. The Meritocracy Act, right? She said. Of course. We even wondered at the time if it was a power play, didn't we? Yeah, we did, but you thought it was out of character, I said, recalling that evening. Oh no, I'm so sorry, it's my fault, she started to say before I cut her off. No, of course not. It didn't seem plausible at the time. I still don't get how. Like, if the exams were rigged somehow, surely Counselor O would still be on the council? He'd never give up his position, absolutely no matter what. Right, she said. I mean, that was the point of having them be held by the university, so the old Counselor O could control them. Okay, like, what if he tried to, but someone beneath him refused to? He would have just, I asked, processing out loud. He would have just assumed they were taking the moral high ground. Oh, and of course he wouldn't have said anything. He was a stupid man, but hardly stupid enough to raise an indignation about failing to fix exams, said Se-young, nodding. It doesn't matter, though. It's just a theory. It's not like we can act on that. I've got a theory. It could be bunnies.
Bunnies are just cuteness like everyone supposes.
Well, maybe, she said quietly, looking away. Maybe what? I asked. Pardon me, never mind. I'm sorry, ma'am, I was about to suggest something that you wouldn't like, she said, still softly. Lieutenant, tell me. That's an order. Let's at least hear it, I said. Well, we could go through the logs of everyone at the university, see if anything incriminating comes up, she said quietly. We could not. Reading through the private documents of nobles? I said, shocked. That's absolutely impossible. Well, actually, you do have the root password, she said. She was clearly ashamed by the suggestion, but still going through with it. She was right, though. It's illegal. That's a line too far, Ms. Ha, I said sternly. I know, but what else can we do? We already know for sure that Ryu doesn't care about the law, she said. After a day when it had become clear that my political power had been reduced to nothing, it was hard to argue with that. I recalled the last time something this drastic happened, and that was definitely not resolved through legal means. It still made me deeply uncomfortable. Okay, you're right. We'll at least look through them, I said. If we find anything incriminating Counselor Ryu, well, at least we'll know. I don't know what we'll do from there, but at least we'll know. Very well, she said, nodding a little. Right, well, it's going to take a while. Let's go through the files of every single person who was working for Mugunghwa University at the time, in sequential order. See if anything stands out, I said, and started the search. Okay. What the hell is up with all these nobles writing in Chinese? So far, everyone has. I don't get it, I commented while running my analysis. How is this so widespread? I stopped mid-sentence. I hadn't found what I was looking for, but I'd found something even bigger while searching the files of Oh Yun-ah, the president of Mugunghwa University. I looked at Se-young. She seemed far too anxious to just tell her as is. This is going to take a while for me to find anything. You should go get some tea, I told her. All right, if you say so.
All right, you say so.
She said. She started to call out to Miss Lim, but I stopped her, telling her she could go make it herself. She didn't understand why, but she got up and went to do it. In a couple of minutes, she returned. Anything yet? She asked. Pour the tea first, I told her firmly. All right, ma'am, she said, puzzled, but did it. Now sit down and drink it, I said. She did. She seemed baffled, but a little bit calmer. Did you find anything yet? She asked. I don't have conclusive proof, but yes. Like, as far as I can tell, for the past 6 years, Mugunghwa University President Oh Yun-ah has been having an illicit relationship with Chief Counselor Ryu, I said. But I found something even more important. What? What could be? She asked. Okay, before I say this, I just want you to know. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get through this, okay? I promise I'm going to stop at nothing to destroy this man and his awful political movement once and for all. Do you understand? I said to her. We'll put this all right, okay? She stared at me, and as I'd expected, she started to get anxious again. What did you find, ma'am? Did you? She asked, her voice unsteady, almost certainly suspecting what I was going to say. So Young, I know who killed your husband. Well, shit.
Shit.
So, now we're putting some pieces together, because up until earlier this block, we didn't really know why Professor Kim was important. He was just captain of the Maid Brigade and a card shark.
Yeah.
Who happens to be married to Ha So-young, but he hadn't really played a whole lot of a political intrigue role. But
Right.
we know now he was head of Academics Against Neo-Confucianization.
Yep.
And guess who the president was implementing those policies?
Oh Yun-ah?
Oh Yun-ah. And guess who was having an illicit relationship with the chief counselor? Oh Yun-ah. I wonder who could have had Kim killed.
I wonder why Oh Yun-ah is the last block that we unlock.
It's a mystery.
Politics makes strange bedfellows. Ha So-young. We met former Chief Counselor Smith at Royal. At Royal, the same place we did 7 years ago. In the same private room as before. This time, though, Mute arrived exactly on schedule. You know, ladies, I don't envy you at all, he said. It's so nice to look at what's happened to the Mugunghwa Council and think, not my problem anymore. Last time I saw you, Miss Ho, you still had black hair. I'll sleep when I'm dead, I said. I don't have the time for it otherwise.
How's your family?
Mute asked, politely.
It must be nice to have as much time as you want to spend with them.
Oh, please, like either of you care about my family, he scoffed. I still keep up with current events, you know. I know exactly why you're here. You screwed up and your poster boy for the mediocrity didn't turn out the way you planned, did he? He looked at me expecting a response. I guess last time I was easily baited by him. Not this time. I let Counselor Mute do the talking. She had far more confidence than I was able to muster anymore.
Yep, we sure did,
she said, smiling. No yelling, no denial, no insults, no sass? You must be desperate if you're willing to admit that right off, he said, actually taken aback by her honesty.
We created a monster, plain and simple,
she said, stifling a look of annoyance.
It was a bad call. Who could have known that underneath all that shy uselessness was a secret totalitarian?
He's out of control, I said, trying to restrain too much of my own scorn for the man who had a part in murdering my own husband.
He really is,
Mute said. What do you want from me? I have no political power anymore. These young men that have taken over politics, there's no place anymore for old men like me.
No country for them, even.
That's you.
All right, you still look young to me,
she said. And the conversation paused briefly as we ordered food, wine being poured for both Smith and I. Well, we can't all live forever. I guess it must be a lot worse to be an old woman in politics than an old man these days, he said. Honestly, though, I might seem like I've gotten softer, but I still hate your guts. Counselor Moot, you were the biggest pain in my ass for my entire career. I think you've got what you had coming.
Good. I'd have no use for you if you didn't, Mr. Smith. I'm about to propose something absolutely crazy, okay? And the only way we'll ever be able to pull it off is if even someone who hates me is on board with it,
she said.
And I know what you care about at heart is the best interests of the ship.
You're wrong. What I care about are the best interests of my grandchildren.
Oh, don't be pedantic. They align and you know it. Like, do you think this is just an abstract point to me? I've got children in my family too, you know. Ensuring a safer future for the ship means ensuring a safer future for my family's little So-hee, and your girls too, Mute said. Oh, right.
That's you can do that.
Nope.
In that moment, I admired her more than I ever had. I knew she cared, but I never heard her speak about my daughter in such affectionate terms before. I could tell she wasn't just saying that for Smith's sake, and it was an awfully sweet sentiment of her to express. Fine, what's your proposal? He asked. You got until we finish eating to convince me.
I'm gonna be upfront. What I'm proposing is nothing short of an armed coup d'etat. I want to depose Chief Counselor Ryu and his entire council of destructive yes-men before he manages to completely gut ship security for good.
Mute said, pounding her fist into her palm.
I'm willing to stake everything on this.
You're serious, Smith said, actually taken aback.
Okay, good. I've finally got your attention.
She smirked. She explained the situation in detail, the culture of the new council, the slow manipulation over the course of the past 7 years, conspiracy, the private army of electoral monitors, the engineering of his victory in the election by arresting the president, the murder of the one man good enough to stand up to Ryu's conspirator and plaything at the university. She was really fired up. It reminded me of the good old days when our problems were so much simpler. When I was still young, she still had that beautiful golden hair, and we were too strong to be scared of anything. I saw that in her again, listening to her speak like that. So impassioned, so cool. I just knew at her side we could put things right again. Finally, she finished, and there was a long pause. Do you really think you can pull it off? He asked at last.
I'll let my lieutenant field this one,
She said.
Ms. Huh?
I tried to muster the same confidence in my voice that she had. Unambiguously, I said. I know my men and women very well. They are both well-trained and loyal. I've made discreet inquiries, and I've already put together a list of 300 officers that I'm prepared to trust with my life. Since word got out that Chief Counselor Ryu plans to slash our budget in half to bolster his own private army of electoral monitors, he's been an extremely unpopular man in security. This is dependent on us acting swiftly, though. Right now we outnumber them nearly 7-1, but that advantage is going to become narrower and narrower the more Chief Counselor attempts to starve our department. As well, Oyuna must be aware we're onto her, given the sudden public reveal of her relationship with Ryu, I told him. But if we were to strike swiftly and catch them off guard at our strongest, I have no doubt we'll be able to assume control within a day. Even if I'm convinced that such drastic measures are really necessary, do you really expect me to take the risk of supporting you? He asked.
Nope, I don't want you to. It'll look bad.
Mute said immediately.
I want no part of the revolution to be traceable back to you. What I want are a set of faces I can trust to form the Mugunghwa High Council.
You want me to be your new chief counselor, he said.
I want the past 7 years to have never happened.
Mute said.
I'll settle for putting the council back the way it should have been. I want you to be the old chief counselor, and I want to have those argumentative idiots back on the council, like even Kim and O. I know you can do that for me.
What if I refuse? He asked.
Then nothing happens. I won't have Ryu replaced with someone I can't trust. This isn't a mistake I'm going to make twice.
She said flatly.
You refuse, then we walk away. A good man dies for nothing, and your grandchildren grow up in a totalitarian Neo-Confucian dystopia. It's your call.
He paused, pensive. You really think you'll be able to pull this off, Counselor Mute? He finally asked. With a single elegant gesture, she produced a cigarette and lit it, taking a drag and blowing it dramatically. It was the coolest! In that moment, I knew that she was the same old badass me that I always believed in.
Just watch me, Mr. Smith,
she said, projecting the utmost confidence. By the end of dinner, we'd gotten him to pledge to leave retirement once we were successful.
Too bad about the success part.
Yeah, too bad about that.
Well, that was the end of Block 6.
You know what it's time for now?
The third and final block.
Stop.
I refuse to
I know
log
it's
off.
technically correct, but stop phrasing it that way.
No.
Just doing some cleanup. There was nothing left in Block 6, right?
The final one was Death of Mute, which we read yesterday.
Gotcha.
So now, time to learn about Oyuna.
And by yesterday, you mean
Yesterday.
in the game.
Yeah, yesterday. In the game, and also real life.
How much more do we have left after that? We have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna get through them all.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Neat. Nose.
The nose knows.
Does it?
No.
Your brownie cake was really good, by the way.
Thank you.
You'll forgive me if I don't have any more. I'm very full now.
Yeah, me too. That's too much.
Yeah, it was very rich.
Yeah. It has a lot of egg and stuff in it, so that is why it is so rich. It's delicious and chocolatey.
Oh, her. We've seen her only a few times before, but never with, not with the knowledge that we have now.
Yep.
Oh, first time we hear about her little sister. Interesting.
Oh, interesting, but is that a little sister or a little sister? wonder.
Dear little sister, Misun. Misun?
I
Right?
think so.
I don't think the EU had a like book. So Misun.
Yep.
Misun. Okay. Sorry about not coming home until late last night. I didn't realize you were already asleep by the time I got into bed. Sorry for disturbing you. I'm afraid it's going to be another late night as the reception yesterday evening went much later than expected. Now I have to catch up on all the work I was going to do. It's the same old irrational nonsense from the Department of History I was telling you about before. I'm going to have to fire the department head, and there's so much paperwork involved. I even have to run it through my father, Councillor O, annoyingly. The reception went wonderfully, though. Much better than I expected. You know how I feel about social events like these usually. I find them utterly pointless and my obligatory attendance to be a waste of everyone's time. Politics are truly loathsome, and I really despise how overbearing they've become lately. So I was at the reception, desperately trying to avoid being dragged into some tedious nonsense by my father, and instead of focusing on chatting up a bookish gentleman who seemed to share my disdain for the whole thing, I laughed at his unfunny jokes, nodded along a lot, let him think that he was encouraging me to drink a little bit more than I'd like. You know, the usual. At first I thought it was just a good chance to, no offense, finally get laid by a man for once, but then I found out who he was, and I think there's a lot more opportunity here. I was actually surprised to find out that he's Ryu Hyun-soo, Counselor of Captaincy. Hey, Ryu!
Emperor Taijo.
I didn't mention it sooner because everyone's got opinions, and I was worried that you might be the type to needlessly bitch about politics even at a party, he said, very agreeably. You can't escape those people these days. I'm glad you're not one of them. Me? Oh no, I think people get distracted by them too easily instead of focusing on the things that really matter, I said, summarizing my thesis about the myopic social destruction caused by the increasing discourse of democratization in a single line. And what is it that matters to you? He tentatively tried to put his arm around my shoulder. I shifted to let him while I thought about what to say in order not to intimidate him too much. The future, I finally decided on.
Spoilers.
Everyone's always about the now these days. They certainly are, always with the power-mongering, always with the politicking. All everyone cares about now is scoring small points so they can take a step up. Nobody cares about stability, he told me what I already knew. Stability. That reminds me, actually. I've been trying to push more of the classics into the curriculum. You know, Confucius and stuff. I wish things were more like they were in those days, where knowing your place was the most important thing, you know? Wow, I have to say, there's not a lot of women who would say something like that, he told me. It's unfortunately true. But that's really what I think is important. Like you said, stability. I worry about the future. I wish more people would. Yeah, right. If only. You can't tell anyone this, but I'm going to be announced as the new chief counselor soon, he said. As if there's anyone still left on the ship who hadn't heard the rumor beaten over their head already. But all the council cares about is pandering to their crisis of the week rather than caring about anything long-term. I hate being put into this position. It's something I'd been considering ever since he told me who he was, but I think there's a real opportunity to use him. I mean, not in a cynical, power-hungry political sort of way, but believe his discomfort at the current state of things could be leveraged to cause major societal reform on a level that I can't do alone. I think we could change the Magungwa for the better. It'd be radical, but he gives me optimism. Maybe this is going to be a dumb question, I said, leadingly. But if you're going to be the head of state, why can't you just change things? Easier said than done, he said. I mean, I'd like to. I'd love to see this endless political horror show of ours end for good. I'd truly love to. The ship deserves a lot better. There's only so much one man can do, though. What about one man and one woman? Is there anything I could do to help? I asked. There is, of course. Even then on the spot, I couldn't think of many things two conspiring parties in the education system and the legislature could do to enact a radical overhaul of society. Slowly, of course. It'll take many years at the least, but combined we have massive potential to shape the discourse and create circumstances that make it clear what must happen to the Magungwa to ensure its future. What I need to know is if he was really a man who had the determination to do that. I don't care about his ideas, those aren't what's important. It's important that he's a man enough to want to, instead of just whining about it. I was worried he might not be. Maybe it's just the liquor speaking, I said soberly, but you seem to be like you're the kind of man who takes what he deserves. Thanks, Yune. And what do I deserve, he asked, staring me intensely. I stopped worrying at that moment. It was obvious where it would end, and he was good. Just knowing that he'd play the game with me after that conversation, I think it's a good sign. Well, you tell me, I said bashfully. Then he leaned in closer and stole a kiss from me. I quickly looked away, putting my hand over his face, pretending to blush. You're right, he said, removing my hand. I am that kind of man. I believed him. At that point, I slowly started to move away, making sure I looked bashful enough that he'd hesitate a little before letting me go. So, I should probably get going. It's getting kind of late, I said. He looked disappointed. It was perfect. When I first spoke to him, I thought I'd simply get laid, but if we were to have a lasting relationship, and I think that's in my best interest, because I think we have the potential to do so much more together, then I obviously can't just give that up right away. I want to apologize again. You can see why I was in a mood when I got home. Maybe if you want, though, we could talk again about how I could help, I offered, hoping he'd name a date. He did. We were going to meet again to conspire after he's officially been declared chief counselor. But I'm feeling good. The night before last, I wasn't feeling optimistic about our chances of salvaging this awful hedonistic society we've constructed for ourselves. But given that, I think with the chief counselor on my side, we can actually turn things around. I think it's only fair that I have to trade in my own bit of hedonism for that. Thanks for being so understanding and patient with me, little sister. As a result, I'm feeling more confident about the new school policies, and I'm not afraid to deal harshly with the Department of History dragging its heels. What irrational idiots. It might be way too much paperwork, but I'm still going to be glad to see heads roll. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that in the future. Mostly, I'm really happy to actually have cause to be optimistic about the future at all. Anyway, that's why I'm going to be home late. Could you please have our maid send dinner down to the office? I'll try to be more careful this time when I go to bed so I don't wake you up. I promise. Thanks, I really appreciate it. With love, Big Sister Yuna. They had their own maid, huh?
Yep, and lived together and were gay, clearly, together. Implied here.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that implication from.
Yeah. Also, scroll up to where she was talking about having to fire somebody. It was way up. I think it was before meeting Ryu. Oh, there we go. Same old irrational nonsense from the Department of History. I'm gonna have to fire the department head. Who was that?
That was, Kim?
Yeah, Professor Kim.
Oh.
She talks later about heads will have to roll, and then they literally did.
Oh. Wait, I thought the implication was he got spaced.
Hmm?
I thought the implication was he got spaced.
Yeah, probably.
Because he wasn't on the ship anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Whew! Things are getting intense! Aww. Little sister. Yeah, little sister. Little sister. Hyune, you getting this?
I don't think
Subtext.
that Hyune gets it yet.
I don't have anyone to talk to right now. Normally I just confide in Yuna, but she is what I need to talk about. Our maid has Huang?
I think so.
Nope, yep. Told me, something I do that helps is to write a letter, but then never send it. And she said maybe that'll help. I sure hope so. Well, who better to address it to than you, since I couldn't send it to you even if I wanted to. I don't think you'd ever would have had advice, but I don't know, I'll give it a shot anyway. It's just that lately she's been so absorbed by this Chief Counselor Ryu stuff. It's all Ryu all the time. I know it sounds like I'm jealous, but it's not that. It's not that at all. I mean, I'd never be jealous of her. That would be just being ungrateful. She doesn't owe me anything, I know. I'd never ask that. It's just obsessive. She doesn't even seem to realize it. Lately, all she thinks about is her plans to change the Magungwa with Ryu. She's really serious about it. It's all, Ryu will overthrow the state, this, and we'll establish a new dynasty together, that. And I mean, she's Big Sister Yuna. If anyone could do that, it's her. I just worry, what if there isn't room for me in her future? You know that whole motherhood credit thing? No, of course you don't. You're dead. Well, it's a new tax thing where basically they pay for being a mom. You'd probably like that. Anyway, she was telling me that pretty much she was responsible for introducing that as a bit of law. I mean, she's not on the council or anything. It came from someone else, but it was her idea. At first, it sounded great, and I was really proud of her for managing to make that happen. Then she started talking about it, how the whole idea was to make more people get married, and okay, fine, I guess that sounds kind of romantic, right? But then she keeps going on, like she wants everyone to get married and have kids right away, saying that it's a moral imperative for girls to marry a man and have kids, or else the ship will die off forever. I asked her, what about people who don't want to? What if you don't want to be with some man? Sorry, Mom, I guess that's an explanation for another time. Not that it really matters or anything. The point is, I'd never want to be with anyone but Big Sister Yuna. Everyone should, she said. There's nothing more important than reproduction. I don't agree with that. Then I said that. I asked her, what about love and having a happy life? Like, having an important job like she does. And finding love on your own means way, way more than hurrying up into some marriage, right? You'd think that, I'm sure. And then she sighed and seemed annoyed and told me something like, that sort of hedonistic and ultra-individualistic thinking is what caused so much social ruin in the first place. I'm having trouble remembering her exact words. People worry about their selfish desires instead of worrying about their duties to the future. Wouldn't you agree that ensuring a functional future is more important? That's sort of the thing about her. It's impossible to disagree with her. I mean, she's really smart, way more than I am. There's a reason why she's university president and I'm just some girl. She always has a really elaborate reason for everything. And I'm sure she's always right. I don't really understand a lot of what she says. I wish I was as smart as her so I could. I guess so, I said. Personally, I'll be happy when I'm out of a job and only have to worry about devoting myself to a husband. It will mean that we've established a social order that privileges stability, and that things for the future will be fine, she said. And that really upset me. I don't like thinking about her getting married. About love, though. I don't want to devote myself to a husband. I just want to be with the person I love the most. Don't you? What about other girls like me? I asked her, really anxiously. And then she said something like, but the ultimate telos of love is reproduction. No, I didn't really understand either. So I asked her what she meant, and she said, it means the most important expression of love is having children. Anything else is socially dysfunctional. There's lesser forms of love, of course, but being with a man is the most important. It has to be. You think we have a lesser form of love, big sister? I asked her. I was crying a little. Sorry, Mom. Even as a grown adult, I'm still a cryberry. She sighed and hugged me, and, well, it didn't make me feel better. Then she said, I'm sorry, little sister. I still love you very much. I never said you didn't matter to me. You always will be close to me, and that's why we're sisters, right? Only meant that there's things more important. I didn't mean to dismiss your feelings. Well, you did, I said, and then stormed off to go sleep on the couch instead. I couldn't. I've never been good with fights with her, especially since, well, you know. She's smarter than me and uses words like telos and is going to take over the ship. I'm not stupid enough to think that I can argue with her ideas. She obviously really is always right. I just mean, that's why she's big sister. Well, she says things like, I didn't mean to dismiss your feelings, but then she says something that dismisses them anyway. She's the most important thing to me. I don't know, it's fine if she doesn't feel the same way about me, but I wish she'd at least acknowledge that. Okay, you know what? Forget it. The maid was wrong. This isn't helping at all. It's just making me even more upset to think about. This is stupid. I'm gonna stop now.
I loved the eggs milk squick of, oh, she's smarter than me and uses big words and is also about to stage a totalitarian coup and take control of our entire society. As though those three are on the same level. Poor Omisun.
Ooh, respectful of family. This is ex-counselor O. Who's this to? Oh, okay, to Misun.
Yep. Who has a different last name here than in when we clicked it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder if that's the thing we'll learn about.
And this is ex-counselor O. To Byun Misun. I've tried appealing directly to O Yuna, but I've been rudely ignored. I'm hoping, as her consort, you'll at least be able to see reason. I'm sure you already know, but I lost my position as Counselor of Education because of the absurd meritocracy exam. Do you have any idea how much of a humiliation that is for our family? Not even the Counselor of Education, the one who's supposed to be responsible for the exams himself, could get top marks? We could have even lost our noble status. Did she even think of that? It's one thing to show disrespect for family and not care about the loss of face, but what the hell is even the point of having an O as the university president if she's not going to do anything to safeguard her family's status? She promised me that voting for meritocracy wouldn't have any impact because she could influence the exams, yet here we are. So she influenced that's why they...
Yeah, sure seems like Ryu was not the one in charge of this power grab.
Yup. You need to convince her to make this right. As for the road she's going down right now, what if next time it's not even a distant O that gets chosen as Counselor of Education? She could lose her job, and that would be disastrous for both of you. I'm sure there's some sort of irregularity in the exam results. If she can't be convinced to put this right, I implore you, you have to find evidence that the exam results were mishandled. For your own sake. Do you really want the woman you're counting on to be so reckless about her family? Do you really think you'll be able to keep up your comfortable lifestyle if our family continues to decline? I'm counting on you to do the right thing. Oh Chung-woo, former counselor of education. Yep, no photo for him.
Oh, well.
Yeah, oh, well.
Yep.
Get,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
I got it. It's good.
Burned evidence, burned feelings. Misun again. Writing on paper, I thought that was illegal. Dear big sister, I miss you. Don't worry. I did get your letter and I did what you told me. Found those papers with the counselor candidates on them. It was kind of hard to find. Those Chinese characters that you wrote didn't really look the same as the handwriting. Anyway, I set fire to them just like you asked. Even with all the Chinese I can't understand, I think I figured out what they were about, and I get why you didn't want those records in the computer. I was really shocked by how easily paper burned, though. For all that it's so expensive and forbidden, it's so fragile. Anyway, I got all that done, so don't you worry, big sister. But I really wish you were here to do it yourself, just because I miss you. I know, you've been spending time with Ryu lately because it's important to you. If you like him and like doing all this work, then I'm glad for you. I just wish you were here. When I got out of the candles to destroy that evidence, it just made me think of when we used to have dinners together by candlelight and how perfect things were then. I don't want to be demanding or anything. You do what's important, I'll help you out however I can, and that's good enough for me. I'm thankful you're around at all. I just worry a bit about you because you used to get really fired up all the time about sociology stuff. But now, well, you don't. And burning off evidence that you rigged the counselor exams to pick people that Ryu likes. Since when did you care so much about politics? Well, since there's no way I can send this letter to you now anyway, I might as well keep going. I'm sorry about that fight we had last week. You were right, I really was being hysterical, and the cramps weren't helping any, but we've lived together how many years now? Feelings always run a little bit high when it's that time of month for both of us. I'm sorry for starting all those arguments. There's no excuse for getting into pointless dumb fights with you. Well, it was just a lot of feelings of insecurity adding to the usual bitchiness. I really worry about you, and I don't mean to alienate you like that. Hey, do you remember when I got dressed up and showed up at your office to say hi at the start of last month, and you shooed me out because you were worried I might have whatever the heck you said, whatever influence on Ryu when he came to visit? It really hurt. I ended up locking myself in the bathroom to hide from the maid while I cried, and I just wanted to do something nice for you. And then when you got home and got into bed super late again, you acted like nothing happened. I really wanted to say something. I still do. It's things like that that make me feel insecure. What am I to you? You used to be so protective of me and gentle, and you always tell me how you were feeling. What changed? Are you at least confiding in Ryu? No, of course not. I know. Like you said, no man is going to find emotional insecurity attractive, and all that stuff about how it'll lower your sexual value in his eyes. So I guess you're keeping it all pent in now and keeping it to yourself. I wish you wouldn't do that. You can still confide in me. I can still be here for you, big sister, if you just let me.
Can't believe Oh Yun Ah reads pickup artist books.
Apparently. Talks about negging.
Yep.
I'm okay with a little bit of crying. That's normal. I'm a little bit too sensitive at times, but I can deal with it. But I can't stand to see you get so distant. You need someone to talk to. You can't just keep everything to yourself. It's not healthy. Please take better care of yourself and don't just hide in this obsession of yours. Please, I'm begging you, big sister. Just, I don't even know what. Be in my life, please. I guess there's no point in writing any longer. Can't really send any of this to you anyway. I'll just make things worse. Here's my real letter then. I guess I'll just copy it in a new file and send it to you and keep this one to myself. Dear big sister, I lit the candles just like you asked me to. Don't worry, it's all dealt with. Hope I see you soon. Love, Misun. Damn, that's dark.
Yep.
Oh shit. That last one I just read the title of. Alright. Dear little sister Miss, and this is from Oyuna. Sorry about not coming home at all last night. I spent the night with Ryu. It wasn't in that way, though. It was just we stayed up so late talking. I think it's the most time we've ever spent together on reflection. Lately, I felt a mixture of anxious and tired. It's not as though I'm optimistic. I know what the future has in store, and I know everything will work out in the end. I've dealt with that professor that was giving me hell, and things are back properly on track. But the initial excitement of finding Ryu has worn off, and at the same time, the end is nowhere in sight. I wish things weren't so damned complicated. I can't sleep with him now despite yearning for it. After all, men are wired to desire things differently than we are, and and would probably throw me away soon after. As much as I want to get laid, it's even more important that I ensure my status in the future, by which of course I mean marrying him. Of course divorce still exists, so if I want to be truly safe I'd have to have his kid. I think we're still a long ways off from being able to politically justify banning divorce, although that's naturally an end goal. Oh, Jesus. However, I can't marry him now because it would draw too much attention. So I'm stuck as his secret, his private girl, and that makes me feel, well, it doesn't matter how I feel really. It's worth it in the end. We talked about it, at least. That's all that happened. No work, no conspiring, no grand political machinations being designed or brought into practice, just a brief glimpse of what the future could have been, future could have in store if we bring it to life. I sat on his lap, and lost my place for some reason, and he held me and stroked my hair, and for a brief moment I felt as though I could actually let go. That none of the other bullshit on the ship, that none of my other responsibilities, that nothing at all that I needed to concern myself with existed, save for him. At that moment my mind raced thinking about that, thinking about how perfect it would be that if that was our future. Rather, if that was our ship's future. Wishing to an extraordinary extent that this perfection could not only be saved forever, but shared. What are you thinking about? He asked. Just you, I said, touching his chest and smiling up at him. I love you. I don't ever want to leave your side. It's awfully precious, he said. You'd be really sweet at times for such a scheming mastermind. I don't want to be that, though, I said with a pout, but meaning it utterly sincerely. I just want to be yours. Poor girl, he said, then kissed me repeatedly until it got to the point where it was getting intense and his hands were starting to roll in places. I wanted him badly, little sister, let me tell you. I'm only telling you this so you know how hard it was to stop him and ensure it didn't go any further. I can't, not before, I trailed off, letting him fill in the blank. Marriage. It wouldn't be right. I'm not just some modern whore. He murmured in agreement, seeming pleased enough. But then, to my surprise, I finally got the best response I could have hoped for. I don't remember his exact words, being far too engrossed in the moment, but he promised he would marry me when it was possible. If I'm going to lead this ship back into traditional ways, I have to set an example, won't I? He said. Of course, anyone who really studied history probably would know that even the greatest kings and emperors had as many consorts as they wished, but I didn't say anything of that, nor did it even come to mind at the time. Nor do I still think it's important now, particularly. You mean I'll get to be your queen? I asked, with excitement in my voice, and it honestly wasn't acting, or me picking my words carefully, or any other form of insincerity. Well, it can't be now. That would seem suspicious, and I don't have enough power for it to not matter. You have to understand, he said. And of course I did, seeing as I was the one who had suggested that to him in the first place. But you will, I promise. A promise isn't enough to assure my safety. I cannot give in to what I had always wanted from him those years ago. I can't run the risk of him throwing me away if he no longer thinks of me as pure and virgin, and if our plans for the future do work out, I'll need to be his queen to ensure my status. When I put all that into words, in such a cold way of thinking of things, though. In that moment, all I was thinking about was him. I don't want the weight of running a university on my shoulders. I don't want to have to work to save the ship from the immorality and unsustainability of modern society. I don't want to have to dedicate myself to a vicious world of politics and professionalism. All I want to do is spend my nights dedicating myself to just that one man. I don't want to have to worry about anything save for being a good woman. I don't want to have to worry about scrutiny from suspicious meddlers or anyone else's opinion of me save for his. I don't want to have to assure you, both you as well as myself, that the future is worth being optimistic about. I just want to be there. I had a glimpse of that future last night. He promised me that he would make me more than just his lover, better than a co-conspirator. He actually committed to making me his queen, little sister. I want that future to be now. Then everything will be perfect forever. I'll be the consort of the man who's ensured that the Magungwa's decline will be rectified, and my reward will be a life full of nights as perfect as the last, instead of them being so frustratingly rare. Sorry I didn't come home last night. I hope you understand. With love, Big Sister Yuna. Wow. Oh, Yuna's got some issues.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, that so far, the same base motivation has been motivating a lot of the different characters and factions. The stability of the Magungwa.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's Mute's whole deal.
Right.
That was, what was Ms.
Professor
Kim,
Lady.
the scientist lady's
Yeah.
deal?
About the radiation?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that was all about, hey, stability of the Magungwa and being able to survive for future generations. Just everybody's taking it in very different directions, not all of which have been healthy or good.
Are we talking about a constant underlying theme here?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I don't usually pick up on those, so I'm
Yep.
I'm legit like, oh yeah, that's so true.
It is. It's also really interesting that we're learning all of this background about how this turned from a relatively egalitarian society into one where women were treated as objects and having no power,
Mm-hmm.
and yet the person who engineered it was Oyuna, a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and clearly didn't seem personally dedicated to the idea that women oughtn't to have any power, as she was looking to engineer a society in which she herself would continue to hold that power as queen, but didn't seem to care much about what happens to other women.
Nope, she got hers.
Yep.
Right. Also, I this might be reading a bit too much into it, but that feeling of I don't want this stress on me every day. I don't want to have to deal with this. I just want to be able to focus on one thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that is, I might be reading too much into it, but that's something that definitely resonates for me with someone who has a lot of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Like this desire to radically change everything so that way the world becomes simple,
Mm-hmm.
and that way it becomes simple and manageable. I don't know if I like I said, I'm probably reading too much into that, but anyway, suicide note to my big sister. I always love you more than anything. Sorry about the trouble. I hope your life gets better with the useless parts of it cut out. You deserve to be happy. Love, Pyeon Mi Sun.
Well, fuck.
Welp. That was pleasant.
Well, 3 more logs to go. Let's read some more sad and gay things. Actually, I don't know if there's any more gay in the last couple logs.
Let's see. So Young Smile. Oh my god. Mute saved So Young Smile as
Yep.
a picture.
Mute saved updated face textures with more wrinkled skin.
Good, just so personal photos.
Personal photos. 50 gigs.
Hair charms.
It's all Sonic fan art.
Tasteful Sonic fan. Hair charms. That was apparently very important.
That was remember Ha Echung and what was her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hair charm.
Yeah. All right. 1,
Maid interrogation.
2, 3, and keepsake from Earth.
Oh no! Oh no! We know what that is now. We know what that is.
Oh shit!
Because remember,
The
she
moments
was
that
saying,
made her happy.
yeah, she said that she deleted them all, but she
Oh
didn't.
no!
There's some of them were still there. Oh damn!
Her uniform and
Chinese to Korean translation.
oh, ZH is Chinese.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Now you do. Language codes.
So
So,
that's everything that old Mute thought new Mute would need in order to figure shit out.
yep. Well, shit.
Well, shit is right. Shit well.
Time to read some logs.
Medo interrogato. This is you.
Oh, it is. I forgot because I was dead and all, but I'm not anymore. A transcript fragment of a conversation held with the private maid of Oyuna's household. I guess, Counselor Mute, my lady, I'm kind of glad someone's asking about my mistress. I haven't talked to anyone about this before. You know, it just wouldn't be right and all that, but I've really been kind of worried about her. She's been kinda, I don't know, unstable. Interjection from Ha Sayang. Unstable how? Has her routine been different recently? Nah, I guess unstable is the wrong word then. More like unhinged? She keeps the same schedule and all, working late. Well, just between us, most of the time she spends working is actually spent off with Chief Counselor Ryu. They've had a running affair for years now. Don't tell her I told you this, alright? She made me swear to keep it a secret. I wouldn't be telling you if not for, well, you know. But yeah, unhinged, in a really weird way. Like, I'm not wearing this bland dress because I want to, it's because she dressed me up like this. Yeah, that's the thing she does. No, not in that way. In a totally, totally innocent way. Just, she loves maids, okay? Just, it's weird. Like, when I first worked for her, she was really insistent that I wear, I guess the idea was, like, traditional clothing? It was supposed to be more modest or something, to fit the style she likes. Also, with horns and a dragon tail. I just don't get it.
Torrid.
Funny how she never complained about her little sister dressing immodestly. Just me. Well, whatever. Anyway, this is supposed to be morning attire, and there was this huge long lecture about how it's the traditional and proper, I guess, thing to do when someone close to you dies. And, you know, Misoon, her little sister, was my mistress too. And she was the one who spent all day at home, so I knew her pretty well. So I figure it's fair enough. Interjection from Hasa Young. How was she unhinged then? Oh, well, it's been ever since her little sister passed. It's been so quiet around the house without her. Well, as for my mistress, I don't know. She's just been kinda... Well, she had a really weird relationship with her little sister. It's none of my business, you know? I didn't want to pry. I just made sure that their bed was kept nice and tidy each morning, minded my own business, and sent the salary I got paid to mind my own business back home to my own family. Honestly.
Sometimes I would have to pick up edible panties, and I'm like, where did those come from?
I was getting to that part. What's unhinged is just, it's like, the other day, she wanted me to make tea for her. No, making tea is not the unhinged part, I'm getting to it. After I poured it for her, she just suddenly insisted that I have some myself. Which I always do anyway, but not, like, together with her. Which is what she wanted this time. That's weird, right? Oh, I guess artificial women don't drink tea. What do you think, though? Hasa Young interjects to confirm. It is weird. See, I thought it was weird. But I'm not really gonna argue. She's my mistress, so I pour for myself. Then she gets me to sit down right next to her. I was practically on her lap. At which point she just tells me about her day. I thought it was leading somewhere to some sort of point, but no, she just went on about what she'd done and what meetings she'd been in and how she felt about all of them. And all...
Oh, sorry. I need to scan.
That.
My bad.
I didn't know what the hell to make of it. Then she got to... And I realized I'd forgotten to bring the lunch little sister made for me, so I had to... And so on. At which point she started to cry. There was a good whole minute of sitting there uncomfortably. You know, what the heck do you do in that context? Thankfully, then she excused me, and I got out of there as fast as I could. I don't know what she did after that. Yes, quite a lot, probably. That's just one example. Another time, she wanted me to warm up her bed for her because she was staying out late. I don't know. Ah, jeez, don't ask questions like that. I don't know. I just... No, I didn't do that. My point is just, she's been really unhinged since her little sister passed. That's all. Whew. Oh Yun-ah, who does not seem to have... whose motives in her relationship with Ryu seem to have been less than sincere love.
Mm-hmm.
And who seems to be lacking something now that the woman who loved her is dead and so forth.
I wonder. Sorry. Dear little sister Mason.
Who's dead by this point, I think.
And also it's in Chinese.
Yep.
Spent the last night with Ryu again. I know you never liked me doing that, but I would have rather have spent the night with you instead if I could have. And that's being perfectly honest. I miss you deeply. When I said I've dreamed of being absolved to my responsibilities, I didn't mean you. I didn't mean like what you did. I would have taken care of you. I always would have taken care of you no matter what. So you're my little sister. It's every other responsibility that wears me down. It's the fate of the Magungwa sitting on my shoulders that I just can't bear. The tedium of keeping up appearances for the sake of people who don't understand. Damn that awful reactionary security AI mute. Her zeal to protect the establishment could well cause the downfall of what she thinks she's protecting. And I'm just tired. I'm so tired. Last night I slipped, screwed up. Even monkeys fall from trees, I suppose. I was just so desperately starved for contact. Ryu was there for me, and I didn't have the willpower to turn him down this time. I just felt like this time I didn't want to be the one in control. I wanted him to let him do whatever he pleased and let him do the worrying. As for worrying, I'm just so tired of it. I'm just so tired. So this time, when he started to kiss me and when his hands started to wander, I didn't resist. I just sat there on his lap as he undressed me, murmuring enough every so often to encourage him. I won't lie, feeling his strong hands on my naked body, his clumsy gropes my chest, felt so good. It's not even the physical sensation, it's just the feeling of being wanted. The feeling of being appreciated. For me to just sit there and be exposed, to not defend myself. To be desired instead of misunderstood. It felt perfect. All I had to worry about was him, and it was perfect. The sex itself, after 6 years of anticipation, was clumsy and inept. I had to fake my own orgasm and discreetly got myself off while I knelt in front of him. But still clumsy as it was, to have him inside me was everything I dreamed it would be. I would even go so far as to say that it made me feel like a proper woman. In that moment, I was able to forget about everything and was able to live in a world that had nothing but him in it. That made me feel the closest thing to good inside since you left. With that, I lost the power I held over him by believing me to be a virgin, and I don't know how much longer now I will be valuable in his eyes. It will almost certainly be mere months before the novelty of being able to have sex with me wears off and I become used goods to him. But to be perfectly honest, I actually felt a little bit relieved to have given that up, to know what it felt like to be truly powerless in his arms when we finally fell asleep that night. In the morning, we discussed it and agreed that since now Mute has discovered our relationship anyway, there's no point in things remaining a secret. He promised to announce me publicly as his fiancée today. In fact, the announcement is what I'm waiting on right now. I always thought that I would be nervous when this moment happened, but instead I don't feel anything. It seems like things will finally come to a head, and society will be saved. It feels as if the end is finally in sight, and yet only one single thought comes across my mind. I wish I was spending this moment by your side. With love and apologies, Big Sister Yuna. Okay, I really think Yuna's got some serious fucking anxiety issues because, like, again, the notion of wanting someone else to take over, protect you, and just kind of leave the rest of the world behind and just be in a little perfect cocoon of physical emotion. That's kind of what I did to myself for the better part of a year. Back when I was digging myself into a pretty deep depressive hole. It wasn't very healthy. But that motivation, like, to be like, I don't want any of this stuff on my shoulder. And, like, obviously not the same scale, but I don't want this on my shoulders anymore. I just want to be taken care of. I want to be held safe, secure. Yeah. That's definitely some intense anxiety shit going on.
Yep.
Sorry to keep talking about myself. Striking back at society's betrayal. She's still addressing letters to Misun.
Yep.
Misun. Misun? Like, no, it's like book. Misun. Okay. It seems things are finally coming to a head now. Security officers came by my home today. Thankfully, I've been staying in one of Ryu's apartments ever since he announced our betrothal, because he received word from someone loyal to him that Mute was planning on making a move against us. Furthermore, that someone only found out about it through the former counselor Oh Chung-woo, which is to say my own father knew of it and said nothing. My father, who I took on the position of university president for, thanklessly, suffered so much for the sake of my family. I can't believe this betrayal. My own father. I've never been more sure of our society's absolute debasement until now. To imagine a father hanging on his own daughter to dry? Have the bonds of family truly gotten this weak? Something is going to happen soon, according to the information Ryu's been receiving. Mute has always been the worst kind of person, a self-righteous bitch. But as much as she stands in defense of conservatism of our debased society, I never thought she would be so bold to actually make a move against the ruler of the ship. We have to make a stand here. It looks like this is the point where subtle manipulation will no longer suffice. We must make a stand in the face of so much betrayal. It just hurts so much that it's come to this, when all we've ever had is the ship's best interests at heart. I'm so tired of it all. I'm so tired of being unappreciated. I just don't understand how they can't see that the ship we live in has gotten to be so rotten. To think the status quo that let you die, that entrusted you to someone like me instead of a real father, instead of a strong husband who could take care of you. How could anyone defend such a cruel society? How can anyone find that just? Things have gotten so much better in the past 6 years. People are marrying more. Women are more and more seeking the right priorities. Men are learning virtue and filiality in school. Yet, despite all the slow progress, people still stand against us. They clearly will not see reason. Mute. Her family of mindless security officers. Even my own father. As much as it hurts me to write them all off as lost causes, what other option is there? Tonight, my first living under the protection of my fiancé. I'm going to do the only thing I can do when he returns home. I will serve him tea, and softly tell him that we have to make a stand against the people who destroy all we've worked for. The only pragmatic solution is that heads will have to roll. If even a member of the council is enacting a threat of violence, subtlety can't work anymore. We need a new society, a new dynasty, where we make a firm stand for what's right. That's what I'll tell him. Softly, of course. When it comes down to it, I guess I'm finally going to see through what we started optimistically all those years ago. But I'm not excited, nor nervous, nor glad, nor relieved. I'm just so tired of it all. Tired of all the wrongs. I don't feel any anticipation for it anymore. All I feel now is that I want to make things right. I want to make a society that would have protected you. I want to make a society that would have given you what you deserved. I want to make a society that would have given you something better than me. I can't tell you how much I wish you were here. I hope you'd be proud of me, and it hurts so very much that I'll never hear you say it. Jesus!
Hashtag gay and sad. We've got to stick to our genre.
Ugh.
So,
What kind of self-loathing must she have to think that, oh, I wish the person I loved and loved me back could have had better than me?
yeah? We've read everything we can before we return to Earth, I suppose. Thank you, Miss Investigator, for letting me play your sidekick.
Always.
The past 3 days could have been really hard on me, but instead, I got to experience what your job is like.
Man, what if this was my job?
And more importantly, we were finally able to solve the mystery of what happened in the year 0. It's still really hard for me to parse and understand. And really, there's just so much I don't know how to deal with. But I think it's really important that I now know. So, tell me, how do you feel about what we've
I
read?
hate everyone equally. I just, sympathetic, honestly.
Yeah?
You feeling that?
Yeah, it's hard not to. Even to someone like Oh Yun-ah, someone who was responsible for so many horrible things. Well, I guess I can understand doing something horrible because you feel trapped, is all I mean.
Yup.
Well, changing the subject to something less heavy. What do you think of the past 3 days, though? Do I make a good sidekick? The best. Ah, thank you. I know I still have a lot to learn, but I can't wait to do it by your side. I just knew we made a good team, even just out here together. Anyway, I guess I'll try asking one more time. Please, this time, I need a firm answer.
Did you really go and bake cake, or have you been lying to me?
Will you get me a body, please? Yes.
Have you read our email?
No, she's been respecting our privacy like a reasonable person. After 622 long years, I'll have a body once again. Ah, what a wonderful thought. Things will finally maybe be the way they always should have been. I'll get to relearn what touch is like. There's a lot of difficult things that will still be in my way, but still, I'm looking forward to it. So, I saw that message you got, the one that was in Korean, from the Historical Society.
See, she does read our email. She knows.
I know that it said they wanted me to testify. I've been really nervous to mention it, because the idea is so scary, but... Are you going to do what they asked? Will you make me testify against the about the Magungwa, what I did?
I don't know, what do you think?
I think she's her own person. I think she can decide.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a really tough decision. Thank you for trusting me to make it.
Of course.
I think if you were at my side, I think I might be able to. I guess it's important that everyone knows the truth about what happened on the Magungwa, and I was part of that. But only if you're by my side. Otherwise, I'd never have the strength to go in front of a bunch of Inquisitors alone. But if you were there, I think I'd have the strength. That's how you make me feel. Well, anyway, I suppose it's now almost time to begin star system entry procedures. Even from out here, I can see Earth on the visual sensors, and it's gorgeous, isn't it? Wow! No matter what happens, no matter how bad I feel about what I've learned, no matter how much I need to learn about people, no matter how hard it is to be a proper adult, no matter what, I'm going to take all the things that shaped me, that shaped what kind of ship I grew up on, and I'm going to try to put them behind me. Even if there's still so much ahead of me, thank you so much for rescuing me. Thank you for being here for me. Thank you for saving me from that prison and putting up with me. I know it seemed really sudden when I confessed, but the fact that you're that kind of person, I still love you for that. From now on, I'm going to look forward towards the future, towards that gorgeous blue planet. I'm sure I won't be able to look back with you by my side. Well,
I'm not crying, you're crying.
we read all the logs. We found out what happens.
Yep. That was pretty damn rough.
Yep.
But another really fun, finely constructed game. And
Yeah.
I had so much fun playing it.
Even for the billionth time, it's still exciting and good.
Right?
I have played all of these so many times, and they're still great.
I think it's finally time to power down until tomorrow.
Alright. Are you sure you want to shut down for today?
Yeah.
I guess that's all then. Next time we talk, we'll be on Earth. I can't wait, I can't wait. Oh, credit sequence time.
Yay!
Hell yeah.
Do I have to click through this? I do.
Hey!
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 Kine got a body.
Yay!
Nice body.
The real folk blues.
Wrong anime.
Oh, damn it. Oh.
Hey, I like that she's got her school uniform from All Along, the same one.
Yep.
I also
and
like...
she's testifying next to a picture of herself in analog.
Yes, that up there is the analog interface. That's the first log right
Yep.
there.
Men are honored, women are abased.
Yes. Yup.
Yeah, those are screen caps from that game.
Wow.
I've not seen this ending, so.
Neither have I. This is what I've not seen.
Aww.
Space. Going to space. Going to Earth.
Going to Earth.
We went to Earth together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Relationship status. It's complicated.
Good
What does
achievement.
that mean?
That's... Man, I'd be more worried if a relationship wasn't complicated.
Yeah, and effectively ageless robot mass murderer from space.
Ah, we did it.
And us, Miss Investigator.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Hell yeah.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
We had such a good time.
I'm so glad we had an excuse to play through these again.
Me too, and we got to eat cake. Brownie cake, but cake.
It was delicious.
It was really good. I hope you all have a great evening or morning or whatever fucking time of day you're watching this. Thank you all for going through these with us. We had so much fun.